We are live. Come on in. Let me know what city, what state, what country you are checking in from. What city, what state, what country you are checking in from. We are live on Instagram as well as YouTube. Come on in. Come on in. Let us know what city, what state, what country you are checking in from. If you don't mind, family, please share this live. Share this live out. If you're on Instagram, go ahead and click the small paper airplane symbol here and press send to about 5 people. If you are on Instagram, if you are on YouTube, feel free to text this link out to, I would say, 5 people at minimum, if you don't mind. If you don't mind, that would truly help. We are going to go into something here in the chat on YouTube. Let everyone know what city, what state, what country you are checking in from. Let everyone know what city, what state, what country you are checking in from. We're going to go into the response to Mr. Johnathan GreenBlatt, who was interviewed on The Breakfast Club. Shout out to The Breakfast Club for this interview. Why am I saying that? Number one, it was good to see the representative from the ADL speak on his own, where he was speaking thoroughly, but he was speaking on a platform where we could hear all of his statements for ourselves. It was very good for us to hear from the mind of the CEO of the very organization that is horrendously and consistently and incessantly attacking Black people and demonstrating its overt and covert anti-Black racism on a consistent basis, while at the same time saying that it is standing against hatred, against defamation. But that only seems to be the case when the person is a part of the J community and not any other community. We are going to go point by point. For those who have come into the room, this is not an attack on Jewish people, not even close. This is not an attack on Black folks, obviously not. This is not an attack on anyone's religion. This is not an attack on anyone's personal belief. This is an attack on ignorance. This is a clarification of facts. This is a response to the statements that were made. And when I say statements that were made, let me give you an example. I have over 100 points to respond to in a time-stamped order, because I watched the full 1-hour interview and I put the timestamps in order. Every timestamp, if you can see all of these, we're going to go in order of each timestamp, each point that was brought up, if you don't mind. And we're going to do this with facts. Some of the references that we're going to use, as a matter of fact, I'm not going to go into all the references because some of you might try to tell on me right now. I'm going to bring up the references in the order of the response to the points that were brought up. And I'm going to come out of different books. I'm going to go into historical references. I'm going to go into all these different points that demonstrate that what was being stated was not correct, was not accurate, was not genuine in some of the different statements, some of the things. Somebody said, no, not 100 plus. No, we will be cooking tonight. We will be cooking tonight. Let me say this. We as a people are very angry. We are not happy with the attacks that we have received on the part of white people, on the part of specifically Jewish people, on the part of anybody. We as Black people are not happy with Black people attacking each other. Y'all let me know if you're happy about that, because I'm not happy about that. We are not happy with the slander, with the defamation, with the attacks, with the consistent injustices that have been brought upon our people, while at the same time, groups, organizations, cultures, religious bodies, you name it, benefit off of our people, sucking the lifeblood of our people, benefiting off of us financially, benefiting off of us spiritually and mentally, benefiting off of us and all of our organizations, all of our businesses, our talents, our companies, you name it. They have benefited in so many ways. And all we want is to be treated fairly and be given a chance to exist and not be taken advantage of. That's pretty much all we want. We just want fairness. We want justice. We want equality. We want freedom. That's it. The problem is so many people continue to eat off of us. So you won't leave us the hell alone. And what you get in response is a frustration that has been built up over the years. And then when you finally get a clap back, which is the colloquial nomenclature for a response in a way that you may not like it, then we look like the enemy. We look like the devil. We look like the culprit, the wrong one, because we're responding to being mistreated. Because so many of you who mistreat us, you do it in a very cunning, conniving, slick, underhanded, secretive way behind closed doors through certain text messages, affecting our bank accounts, affecting the people around us, messing up job opportunities. You know what you do. It's very old of how y'all operate. So we're frustrated, but what we're going to do, should I say right now, how I'm going to respond, is only going to be on the intellectual level, if you don't mind. We're not going to get personal, although it is damn personal. We don't need to get personal. We're going to go on actual facts. So now that those of you who just came in, if you are at work, shout out to the truckers, shout out to those who do security and overnight, shout out to those of you working at the warehouse, shout out to those of you who are doing any job that is overnight to feed your family, take care of yourself, pay off those loans, do whatever it is you need to do. You are working hard. I appreciate those of you right now who are working. You already know what I'm talking about. I've been there. You know what it is. Keep grinding. Keep doing what you need to do to take care of yourself. For those of you who have school in the morning, I apologize. For those of you who have to get up for work in a couple hours, maybe this will give you some energy. Somebody said I'm on third shift. I know about that swing shift. For those of you who have to get up early and you are up watching me right now because you appreciate what I say and you value my take on things, I appreciate you as well. I sincerely do, and I pray that I make you proud in doing what needs to be done. So just want to give a shout out to everybody who's watching right now from wherever you are watching, because we are about to conduct surgery. We're going to go to the timestamp. First question before I go into this: have you watched the interview with Mr. Johnathan GreenBlatt on the Breakfast Club that aired today and was recorded yesterday? Have you watched it? Let me know. Have any of you watched this interview? The interview didn't get that many views because it's not interesting to a lot of people. Just to be honest, for the Breakfast Club audience, it's not interesting. It's like, who is Johnathan GreenBlatt? I'm giving him attention right now by even bringing up his name, but it's the organization that he is now the CEO over, that he has taken over, which the legacy of this organization is very wicked where our people are concerned. So it's more so the organization and its influence that I'm highlighting rather than him, right? So the vast majority of you have said no, absolutely. I know you didn't watch it. I know you didn't. I want to see if anybody did. But somebody said, I'm not going to watch it. I heard you. I heard you. So let me mention here. We're going to go to the timestamps. We're going to go point by point. If you get bored, hey, I get you. But this is my job, doing the research, giving you all the report, and fact-checking the situation. The main reason why I'm going to go over these timestamps right now is because the interview that was conducted was with someone by the name of Johnathan GreenBlatt, the CEO of the Anti-Defamation League. What is the Anti-Defamation League? The Anti-Defamation League was an organization founded to expose, track, trace, and stop the attacks against Jewish people. Then later on, they added in there to stop hate. No, the very pure core of what the ADL is to protect Jewish people. And I'm not mad at you. That's beautiful. Every group of people should have their own defense. Do y'all agree? I absolutely believe every single group deserves to have its own defense. Absolutely. That's intelligence. So I'm not mad at the ADL for being a defense organization for the Jewish people. You should, but we should too. I personally believe the Nation of Islam is that group. Some of you may disagree, but we should have multiple. Since we have so many different labels that we go by as a people, fine. Then let's come up with as many different groups that defend us as possible. All right. So first point that was brought up, at 1 minute and 50 seconds, and I'm going to sound like a computer because I'm going to go on the exact time that these things were mentioned so that you can go and watch it. If you don't want to watch the whole interview, you can just watch and make certain statements at these times that I'm going to point out. At 1 minute and 50 seconds, for those of you just coming in, we are talking about the interview on the Breakfast Club with Mr. Johnathan GreenBlatt, CEO of the Anti-Defamation League. At 1 minute and 50 seconds, the question was, what is the ADL? What is the Anti-Defamation League? His response, Mr. GreenBlatt said, well, Leo, he didn't say the name. He said the ADL is the oldest anti-hate organization in America. I beg to differ, Mr. GreenBlatt, but let's just start off with the ADL. He said it was established and started because of a Jewish man that was lynched. A Jewish man was lynched in America in 1913. And that sparked this circumstance where we have to defend ourselves. Now, again, I'm completely with, he was lynched in 1915. Pardon me. He was lynched in 1915. 1915, he was lynched. But the case started in 1913. The case started in 1913. First point, Mr. GreenBlatt, you did not bring up the name of the person. Point number one. This is how I want us all to understand when it comes to research. Look at what they do not say. Point number one. Point number two, he said the ADL was established because a Jewish man was lynched. No. The ADL was established to try to say that a Jewish man was innocent after having been convicted, found guilty of raping and murdering a Caucasian Christian girl. That's the reason why Mr. Leo Frank, whose name he did not mention, the man he's talking about is Leo Frank. Everyone type into the chat, please. Leo Frank. This is why we don't play these games. We're going surgical on this. We're going to go to the root of a thing. So point number one you left out was the name of the person. The reason why he left the name out, or should I say, I believe the reason why he left the name Leo Frank out is because people would then go and look up the name Leo Frank. And they would look up the fact that, oh, this was a white man, Jewish, who raped a white girl who was a Christian white girl at the time, which also goes into the Jewish, Christian, white Christian, Jewish relations in America back then, because they had their own issues, right? And they didn't like that. She worked at the company that he was over, which I believe was a pencil making company. And he tried to blame it on a black man. This is the foundation of the ADL. So we're going to start here. Point number one that you brought up, Mr. GreenBlatt. Leo Frank is the Jewish man who you all stood up and were protesting and saying, this is wrong. You have the wrong man, the wrong man. No, Leo Frank was found guilty. He raped a white girl. I'm harping on this point so that y'all can understand what the purpose of the ADLs being started in the first place was. Raped a little white girl. The people didn't like it. The evidence pointed to Leo Frank. He was found guilty. He was trying to say it was a black man that did it. I believe the janitor. He did it. He did it because at that time, all you needed was the word of a white man over the word of a black man, and it will be believed. Correct? This is in the early 1900s, 1910, 1911, 12, 13, 14. All you needed was the word of a white man, and it will be believed. And what did they do? Just as Carolyn Bryant Dunham, the Caucasian woman who lied on Emmett Till and said that he tried to rape me. And then over 50 years later, the same Caucasian woman admitted that she lied, and she is still alive today. But Emmett Till was murdered horrifically because of a lie that that Caucasian woman gave. And the same thing with Leo Frank, who tried to lie on a black man so that he would get off for being found guilty of raping and murdering a white girl. Now, let's go ahead and move forward. Just to give a little context, documentation, reason, where are the documents? What should we read? This is the third installment to the secret relationship between blacks and Jews. This is the third installment. There is book 1 that everyone should get. There is book 2 that everyone should get. And there is book 3, which is the very foundation itself when it comes to the American relationship of the secret relationship between blacks and Jews. This book talks about the secret relationship between blacks and Jews, the Leo Frank case, the lynching of a guilty man. Rizza, what do you mean lynching? Is that figurative? You're talking about how they lynched him, his character in the media? No. Leo Frank was found guilty. Let me read what it says on the back here. This is on the back of the book. Everyone should get this book. All 3. The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews. Type that in the chat. Books 1, 2, and 3. The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews. Book 1, 2, and 3. Put that in the chat really quick if you don't mind. And for those who are in here, make sure you go to RizzaIslam.com and purchase your Natural Immunity Wins shirts, hoodies, etc. while you're in here, and also subscribe to the website. Here's a description in the back of the book. The Leo Frank case has been called the greatest unsolved American murder mystery of all time. Now, here's another thing I'm going to mention while I'm going down these points that Mr. GreenBlatt brought up. We are black folk, so we take pride in being who we are. Everybody else takes pride in who they are. They're supposed to. If you're white, take pride in being white. Just don't take pride in being white to the degradation or the destruction of everybody else who's not white. If you are whatever other nationality that you claim, be proud of that. That's fine. But when you are speaking of facts in history, don't take pride in lying and placing the life of your people above the lives of everybody else when your people have subjugated the lives of so many others. The way Johnathan GreenBlatt was talking, as many members, as you will mention, and pardon me, as you will learn, as I've witnessed in person talking to them, many members of the Jewish community speak of Jewish lives not just being important because they are, but being more important in quantity. If 100 black folks are murdered, but 1 Jewish person is punched, they will put more focus and energy on that, and that energy will be the same, if not more, than what energy we put on 100 of our people being murdered. Just to give you an understanding of context, not every Jewish person does that. However, many of the ones that I have talked to, how they talk about those lives, etc., when we're talking about something that is far more horrific, but they'll talk about something very small sometimes, and it will completely minimize the horror that we are dealing with. And this is how Johnathan GreenBlatt was talking. I just wanted to kind of give you that because that is going to go into almost every single response, because so many of the things that this man said, it's not that I couldn't believe it. I know why you didn't get any pushback on the Breakfast Club. So yes, needless to say, sure, I'm disappointed in Charlamagne, DJ, and Angela Yee, but at the same time, I don't expect them to respond because they don't have the actual facts to respond with. And also there are other things. They're getting paid by these people. Their company is, connected. So you can't necessarily bite that hand to that degree because it's the company thing. So I get it. Do I agree with it? No, but I get it. So I'm not even mad at him. Here's a description at the back of the book. The Leo Frank case has been called the greatest unsolved American murder mystery of all time. John F. Kennedy, JFK, Malcolm X, Uh, There's so many more, but the greatest unsolved American murder mystery of all time. Okay, again, remind you, this is so, yes, we are, okay. In 1913, a Jewish B'nai B'rith leader was convicted of the brutal rape and murder of a white Christian girl. He was lynched for the crime. And for over a century, Jews have insisted that Leo Frank was innocent and that a black man was the real killer. They say that Frank's case is the worst incident of anti-Semitism in American history. This highly acclaimed book solves the case and proves that Frank was guilty of the murder and that there was no anti-Semitism at all. The false charge of black anti-Semitism used to manipulate and control political debate began with the Leo Frank case. This book by the Nation of Islam's researchers has become the acknowledged standard in the examination of this profoundly influential case. It is 536 pages, 1,227 footnotes, illustrations, maps, and photos showing how Jews turned a cold-blooded murderer into an icon of Jewish suffering. Let me say this real quick. Mr. Greenblatt, why did you not tell the Breakfast Club why Mr. Leo Frank was lynched? Why didn't you tell the Breakfast Club that Leo Frank raped a white girl? Why didn't you tell the Breakfast Club that Leo Frank was a Jewish man raping a white girl who worked at his company, and that when he was found guilty, not just an innocent man like the majority of our people that have been in that circumstance who were lynched, like all of our people who were lynched. Yet you're trying to equate it the same. No, that's called deception. That's called being forked-tongued. That's called using deceptive intelligence. Why did you tell him that Leo Frank was found guilty because of evidence? Why did you tell him that Leo Frank tried to blame it on a black man because he knew the chances of him getting off by blaming it on a black man would be very high? Why didn't you tell them that Leo Frank was not only found guilty, tried to blame it on a black man, and that he went to jail? Not only did he go to jail, but the white folks who did not like what he did went to the jail, broke him out of the jail, and then brought him to the city where the girl was from and then lynched him in that city. Not black folk, white folk. Why didn't you tell the Breakfast Club that your martyr, your inspiration, your Jewish hero did some very unethical, immoral, disgusting, deplorable things that goes against the tenets of Judaism? Why did you not do that? Why didn't you say exactly what it was? Oh, because you couldn't use that. But that's the foundation of your organization. Again, Jewish people deserve to be defended if they get attacked. Absolutely agree. You founded the organization off of a rapist and then try to make it seem like he's innocent? Stop it. Because if that's the case, then you might want to go on to this whole thing of black people saying, hey, well, R. Kelly's innocent. And everybody like that is innocent. Do you want to go there? Because that's kind of what it sounds like right now. You got to stop. You got to stop. If our people are wrong, we need to call them out. If your people are wrong, you get a whole organization created out of it. That's not okay. All right. Next point. And I'm not going to harp on these too long. I'm going to go right through these because there's so many points. At 3 minutes and 50 seconds, Mr. Greenblatt, you said the purpose of the ADL is to protect our community, to track anti-Semitic incidents, and to monitor extremists. You stated that last year, over 1,500 pieces of intelligence or information was given to the FBI by the ADL. Mr. Greenblatt, wow. What's interesting to me is, while you were carrying on about all of these things, saying that you work with the FBI, why didn't you tell the Breakfast Club that not only do you currently work with the FBI, but that it was the ADL primarily who was working with the FBI as it pertains to the spying on every Black leader that we have had in America. Mr. Greenblatt, why did you not tell the Breakfast Club that in 1942, the ADL, which of course you were not born at that time, but your organization, the ADL, led the FBI to arrest the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and over 80 other Black men? Why did you not tell them, Mr. Greenblatt, that it is you and the ADL that has worked with the FBI to track the Panthers, to go off when it comes to the Black Hebrew Israelites, as it pertains to Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture, as it pertains to specific members of the Black Panther Party, especially Fred Hampton, who was murdered at the age of 21? Why is it that you did not tell them that you work with the FBI and that the ADL has been instrumental in the literal dismantling, destruction of Martin Luther King, of Malcolm X? The ADL has been tracking. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has helped to set up the divisions within Black organizations. The ADL has helped to cause a rift and division between Black leadership all throughout this country. And you have even helped when it comes to infiltrating these organizations. Why is it that you did not tell the Breakfast Club this, Mr. Greenblatt? I just wanted to bring up the fact that you said something, but you didn't say the something you should have said. It's called omission. It's called omission, is my point. It is called omission, a crime of omission. So let's go to the next point, because that's actually fairly easy. But the ADL, historically, from its inception up to the present, has been a FBI aid and spy organization on the Black community, and particularly the Black intelligentsia, the intellects within the Black community, to help in making sure that our people do not rise to a particular level of control and influence. The ADL has not been a friend of Black people. If anything, you have helped our enemies, and parts of your organization has itself completely been an enemy to our people. So let's continue. So again, the ADL works with the FBI. So anytime you hear them talk about, we need to have this Black artist, Kyrie Irving, Kanye West, which I'm going to get to because he mentioned their names, they need to meet with us. Why would we meet with the FBI? Because that's who we're meeting with when we meet the ADL. What are you talking about? Why am I going to go and sit down and meet with the FBI? I've had the FBI show up and meet with me multiple times. They meet with different people, but why are we going to go and sit down with, for what? I mean, what is that going to do? What is that? What are you talking about? The ADL, FBI, they shake hands, according to the words of Mr. Greenblatt himself. Let's continue. These are his own words that I'm bringing up point by point in time stamp frame when he mentioned these things on the Breakfast Club interview that aired today. At 5 minutes, he said the ADL lobbies, funds, and even works on affecting the money of people who they feel spread hate. Wait a minute, Mr. Greenblatt. So you mean to tell me you and the ADL or partial Jewish community, you have influence over money, which is banking, which is proof when it comes to Kanye West having over $100 million being frozen and removed or told to be removed from JP Morgan Chase. You mean to tell me, did you just validate the fact that Jewish members in the Jewish community have some control and influence over banking? Is that what you said? Because you did say literally that you lobby, which means you go and meet with congressional members now. So the ADL has that much kind of influence where you go in and meet them with congressmen and women. You're meeting with House of Representatives and senators. And you also affect the money of people who you feel spread hate. So you literally now are admitting that members of the Jewish community do control and have influence when it comes to banking. Okay, we already knew this. We're not anti-Semitic. You're saying it yourself. You're the Semitic person, right? You're so-called the Semitic one. Fine. You said that. Okay, good. So glad to know that the ADL has influence and control over banking. At 5 minutes and 20 seconds, Mr. Greenblatt says the ADL reaches 3 to 4 million children in schools every year with different anti-hate programs, he said, and where we're educating children on the different forms of hate or different things when it comes to communicating and learning about each other. Okay, we know what this is, and that may be true, but let's look at what's underneath that, for example. Sure, you may be going in and telling children it's wrong to hate children, and then what will you do? You will say, for example, Jewish people have been under attack since blah, blah, blah. What that is, it's called indoctrinating. That's not just reaching 3 to 4 million children. No. That is called indoctrination. And you're indoctrinating 3 to 4 million children a year. You're not just educating them against hatred. Stop doing that. That's called double talk. That's called a crime of omission, which means you're not saying things that should be inside of that statement that you're making, which makes it a full contextual statement, a full statement in context. That's not okay, Mr. Greenblatt, because you're not going into these locations educating them about the horrors affecting Black people. You're not educating them about the horrors affecting Mexicans. You're not educating them about the horrors affecting natives on reservations. You're not harping on that. You may mention it for about 2 seconds, and then you'll give the other 2 hours to the Jewish dedication, like you did on the Breakfast Club. So let's continue. Next point. I'm just going down this. And for those of you who are watching, thank you for watching. Again, go to RizzaIslam.com. Make sure you subscribe and also get anything that you feel may help you when it comes to the products that we have on the website. At 6 minutes and 30 seconds, this is going to be interesting to y'all. The Jewish stereotypes is what they start to address when it comes to 6 minutes and 30 seconds. The Jewish stereotypes. Jews run Hollywood. Jews control banking. You know, there is a Jewish group that is running a number of different things when it comes to controlling athletes and controlling sports and controlling music and film and fashion, right? They were going over the Jewish, what they call tropes or stereotypes. Okay, well, let's see. After that, at 7 minutes, Charlemagne and Greenblatt talk about how they've been talking for years and that we should call people in before we call them out at 7 minutes and 15 seconds. So let me go ahead and put all that together. Number one, Mr. Greenblatt, stereotypes only gain power when you literally validate them by doing the very thing the person said you would do if you had the ability to do it. I'm going to say that again. Stereotypes only gain power if the very thing that you do or the very thing that is said that you can do, you do it when the people say that this is what you're going to do. If I say, for some reason, it looks like members of the Jewish community have a lot of influence over banking, and then you take down someone's bank account with hundreds of millions of dollars in it, you're not helping the case. If I say Jews run Hollywood, and then you prevent me from getting any more auditions. You stop me from having my career grow, even though I'm one of the greatest actors and I've been in tons of films and I'm on the A list of actors in Hollywood, but now my career has been stifled. I've been blackballed. You're only validating that point. This is the basics and intelligence that you think we don't have. Now, here's the sad part about this. It's very insulting, but let me, again, all of these things are very basic points. So they are not stereotypes. They're facts that you don't like to be heard because you don't like people exposing who you really are. And the sad thing is, if more Jewish people came out and spoke out against the ADL, or I guess you would call the bad Jewish people, if more good Jewish people would come out and speak against the bad Jewish people and call them out for doing what they're doing, then we will be able to identify the separation. Like, oh, hey, thank y'all. Kind of like saying, why don't the good police come out and speak out against the bad police? You make it difficult for people to trust the entire apparatus, your entire group, if none of you come out from behind the door and address the wrong things that certain members of your group are doing. If you don't do that, then we have no choice but to look at the fact that, damn, all of you are, in the colloquial nomenclature, the way we describe it in our terminology, is your own code. You're in lockstep with each other. You're not breaking ranks. You are being company people. You are not going against the dominant agreement of the group. You're not violating company policy. You're staying right there with them by your, what is it that you constantly say? By your silence. Hatred is spreading because of your silence. That's what's happening. Too many Jewish people are not speaking up against the evils that certain members of the Jewish community are committing against Black and all others. Okay, let's continue. Another thing. At 7 minutes and 15 seconds, Mr. GreenBlatt, you said we should call people in before we call them out. You have not met with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan nor the Nation of Islam. What are you talking about? You refuse to meet with members of the Hebrew Israelites. What are you talking about? You throw your stone and you call everybody in the Nation of Islam anti-Semitic, horrible people, blah, 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 blah. But you refuse to meet with us. But you said, I don't believe in canceling people. I believe we should call people in before we call people out. And you did it with this very psychologically, very well-trained veil of sincerity. And I'm not being disrespectful. We know you because what you said wasn't sincere. I don't believe in that. We should call people in before we call them out. We have been asking to have a meeting with you, to dialogue. Specifically, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has been calling for a dialogue between the Jewish community and the Nation of Islam for over 40 years. And then that call for a conversation, which, by the way, many high-ranking rabbis and members of the Jewish community have met with Minister Farrakhan on multiple occasions at his home, or he has gone and met with them in their home, etc., etc. But you all have not come out and publicly in a symposium-like setting where members of the Jewish community and the high-ranking rabbis, or the 12 ranking rabbi organizations on your side, have met with us on our side, where we can actually cross-reference and have a dialogue in front of the world publicly. See, the problem is you do things in the shadows, in the dark, but then you attack us in the light, in the public. That's the problem. It is very, very disingenuous to get on the Breakfast Club and say, we call people in before we call people out. No, you attack people. You don't just call people out and not call them in. You just attack people for an opinion, for making a statement or a question, or even just mentioning, just saying the term Jew. And, okay, listen, you got to knock it off. Knock it off. Mr. GreenBlatt, you were not genuine, sir. Not with that statement. Let's see if there are any others that you were not genuine about. But you definitely attack people, the ADL. You do not call people in. You attack people. At 8 minutes, he said, or you said, Mr. GreenBlatt, on the Breakfast Club interview, We protect Jewish people at the core. Thank you. Just speak straight words, player. Because if I were sitting right there, you would have no choice. If the minister was sitting right there, well, of course, then I would be honored to even be in the building, because I would just be sitting down listening. And the crazy thing is, we wouldn't be attacking anybody having, a conversation with the Jewish people. We don't do that. I know, only 8 minutes in, right? It's crazy. But that's not how we operate. See, that's the other sick way that you picture us, right? Black people, we're just thugs. We're just some thuggish people trying to attack it. Knock it off. Just admit that you don't want to sit down and have a conversation with us, because we're going to unravel all of the lies that you have been perpetrating onto the masses of the people. Just speak the truth. And let's come to an agreement. So you protect Jewish people. Thank you. At the core of the ADL, what you said is to protect Jewish people. Yes, that's not just the core. That's about 99.999% of what it is. And then you do other things to make it look like the ADL is for other members of the human family. It's not. And it is okay. It's like saying the Black Defense League. What is it? What am I saying? I'm telling you who I'm defending. Yes. This is not an equal opportunity type of thing. Everybody's included. No, you deserve to have your own organizations that defend you. Everyone deserves that. Stop apologizing for this. Period. I'm a Black man. That's it. Simple. I do what is done for my people first, and then for other people. But my people come first. Your people should come first. I agree, but not to the degradation of mine. I'm not ever thinking what I can do to harm a Jewish person. Ain't nobody, I guarantee there's no hood you go to, nowhere, where Black people are trying to come up with a way to beat up Jewish people. We don't think like that. That's some goofy, you're weird. There's something wrong. Like, none of us are thinking like this at all. Y'all got this sick thing where you think people are trying to attack you. No, somebody might be trying to attack you, but not Black folks as a whole. Sorry, we are more busy trying not to be attacked by our own people, number one. And then your people, white, Jewish, whatever you want to call it, you're considered white to us. It doesn't matter what you call it. You're white. Like, that's what y'all got to get through your head. You're considered white. So our main focus is on our own communities, us not killing each other, doing each other wrong, and then racist police officers, and then other white folks under whatever label you want to call yourself, including Jewish. So I just wanted to kind of lay that out there. At 8 minutes and 25 seconds, let me run through these. At 8 minutes and 25 seconds. And by the way, yes, I know the color code system, color cast system, Johann Friedrich Blumenbach, Carl von Linnaeus, all that bull crap. You're considered white. I just want to make that very clear. Any smart Black people in here trying to go into Rizza where you're not Black, they're not white. Okay, you can kill it, you can end it. The reality is, in the real world, white folks, Black folks, that's how people talk. Period. Period. That's what we're talking about. So let's end the nonsense. A white police officer comes to you, you're not like, you're an Italian police officer. You're not doing that. That's a white man. That's what you're going to say. That's a white man. Just like they're not going to say, oh, shoot, I'm going to shoot a Hebrew Israelite. No, I think it's a 5%. No, I think it's a Moor. I'm going to shoot the Nation of Islam. No, I think no, it's a Black dude. I'm about to shoot a Black man. Black male, 6'2", shots fired. Stop it. The moment we get through that crap, we will in a more fast, quick way, we'll be able to come together and be a little more intelligent. They are on the same page. We need to get on the same page. Okay. At 8 minutes, one of my favorites, at 8 minutes and 25 seconds, anti-Semitism, he said, is an insane conspiracy theory. Anti-Semitism is an insane conspiracy theory. Okay, Mr. GreenBlatt. Black people are intelligent. I know a lot of people on the other side who are white. You may not be used to us displaying our intelligence because on so many of your platforms, a lot of our people have gone kind of crazy with the stuff that's not too smart, that may not represent our higher level of thinking and intelligence. We're quite intelligent, dangerously to your lives. We're very intelligent. So let me say this to you, Mr. Greenblatt. Anti-Semitism is a insane conspiracy theory. Okay. No, it's not. Most black folks don't even know what anti-Semitism means. Let's say it one more time. Most black people don't even know what the term means. And guess what? You don't even know what it means because you couldn't explain exactly what it meant on the Breakfast Club interview. It is a label that you create, which basically stands for anybody who you dislike. The term anti-Semitism now and anti-Semitic is a label that is used so loosely that all it means is anybody that the Jewish community doesn't like, you're anti-Semitic. That's all it means. There's no logic in it. It is the most overused term next to the word Negro, next to nigga. It holds no weight in the black community. We do not honor that, although a portion of it is real, meaning, are there some people who hate Jewish people? Yes. The majority of them happen to be white folks of a different tribe. I'll say it that way. Italians, the Scots, the Germans. Okay, so it's your white cousins. But there are no black people in huge groups who hate and want to get rid of you. That does not exist. I'm sorry to tell you that. Sorry to tell you this. So, conspiracy theory? No, it's a conspiracy. Conspiracy. Meaning there are groups and organizations coming together to use that label to weaponize it, to attack anybody that you don't like. He's anti-Semitic. Rizza's anti-Semitic. I have not put my hands on no Jewish person ever. Never talked about doing it. Never encouraged anybody to do it. Never. You hate Minister Farrakhan so much, but not one member of the Nation of Islam has ever physically harmed one member of the Jewish community. So what the hell are y'all talking about? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? No, like, okay, what's your evidence, bro? What are you talking about? We got records of Jewish people calling for the death of Minister Farrakhan, chanting outside of different events. We hate Farrakhan. Who do we want? Farrakhan. How do we want him? Dead. Hold up, yo. Jewish folk. Y'all remember that? That's when Khalid Muhammad came outside and ran those Jewish dudes calling for Minister Farrakhan's death, ran them away. Don't get this twisted. Let's continue. 8 minutes and 45 seconds. Mr. Greenblatt, you said that anti-Semitism is the oldest form of hatred there is. Oh my gosh, you are so pregnantly arrogant. Pregnantly arrogant. The hatred of Jewish people is the oldest form of hatred there is? In the world, you said it goes back thousands of years. Mr. Greenblatt. See, what you do is you just discount everybody else and what everybody else goes through. It's the oldest hatred. Cut it out. He said that. Some of y'all are not going to believe some of the stuff I bring up. Y'all gonna be like, he didn't say that. Okay, at 8 minutes and 45 seconds on the Breakfast Club interview, Mr. Greenblatt said that anti-Semitism is the oldest form of hatred there. Mr. Greenblatt, Moses wasn't Jewish. Judaism didn't come into existence until after Moses. Till after. He didn't come into Judaism. Judaism came into existence after Moses. And there were different forms of spiritual systems before Judaism, where people were hating each other. The consistent hatred has absolutely been white versus everyone else in whatever area that you want to call it, whatever geographical positioning place, whatever culture you want to call it. That is a lie. Book reference really quick when it comes to understanding different levels of spirituality outside of the classic three monotheistic religions: Judaism, Christianity, Islam. Spirituality Before Religions, one of the books. Spirituality is Unseen Science. Science is Seen Spirituality, by our brother, Professor Dr. Kaba Kamene. Kaba Hiawatha Kamene, a good brother. Love our brother, one of our great scholars. Good brother. Love our brother. He's one of the greatest teachers who loves the minister, loves the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, loves all the work. That's just one of the references that I'll mention. I'll also mention another book here. Almost forgot, I had it. The Book of God by True Islam, aka Dr. Wesley Muhammad. The Book of God by Dr. Wesley Muhammad, aka True Islam. The Book of God by True Islam, aka Dr. Wesley Muhammad. And this book goes over the Black presence and representation in many of the areas of spirituality, many of the so-called religions, many of the different spiritual systems, and the presence of God being Black, and the different representations that they worshiped, the physical forms of what they considered to be God or their deity, and how virtually every single time God is Black. Virtually every single time. Critical. These are just references when it comes to looking at spiritual systems thousands of years ago and prior till. Anti-Semitism is not the oldest form of hatred, Mr. GreenBlatt. Again, when you're trying to cap, I said we would just cap. Stop it. Stop. Just say you're protecting Jewish people. That's cool. You don't need to exaggerate, because that was a heavy exaggeration. Lord have mercy. Woo. At 9 minutes and 27 seconds, we're getting there. We're getting there. At 9 minutes and 27 seconds, he said, Jews are always blamed, but they're not doing anything wrong. The Jews are not the ones doing these things. He said it's the heavy left. It's those people on that side of the political spectrum that are doing these things. It's not Jewish people. Jewish people have never done anything wrong. Mr. GreenBlatt, which I believe is a Yiddish name, which means green leaf in Yiddish. Mr. GreenBlatt. Word. Really? Okay. Let's just start off with a few points. The creation of the NAACP with Mr. Spingarn. Jews partially helped to found and create the NAACP. Not because you so cared about Black people and our advancing, but because you wanted to recruit the intelligent ones among our people to monitor us so that we would not progress to the level that we would have if you had not had your hand and intervened in our affairs. And that is the fact. That is the fact. Stop it. Almost every organization that the Jewish community helped to create when it comes to Black people has not been a Black organization to push and promote Black people to become the greatest and the best in our fields and to become justified and free and equal in society. It has not been. It has been, you can go up to the highest level that you can go under us. That is the fact. Stop playing. Mr. GreenBlatt. Jews did plenty of things wrong. Members of the Jewish community have done plenty of things wrong. And the reason why I don't want to go down Lord have mercy, this again, there are so many. The creation of the ADL and what you've done with the ADL, you've attacked and labeled virtually every Black leader that we have ever had as anti-Semitic. So I'll start there. Noble Drew Ali has been given the label of anti-Semitic. Marcus Garvey was called anti-Semitic. Martin Luther King, anti-Semitic. Malcolm X, anti-Semitic. Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture, anti-Semitic. Elijah Muhammad, anti-Semitic. Khalid Muhammad, anti-Semitic. The Black Panthers, anti-Semitic. Everybody, anti-Semitic. Michael Jackson, anti-Semitic. Barack Obama, anti-Semitic. Barack Obama's longtime reverend, the man who he went to church and listened to, Reverend Jeremiah Wright, anti-Semitic. Dave Chappelle, anti-Semitic. Kanye West, anti-Semitic. Kyrie, anti-Semitic. Anybody who stood with Minister Farrakhan, anti-Semitic. By proxy, by just associating with him, anti-Semitic. Anti-Semitic. Rizza Islam, anti-Semitic. Air, anti-Semitic. He's anti-Semitic. He coughed too hard. It's an anti-Semitic cough. Get some water. Anti-Semitic coughing over here. And yes, I'm being sarcastic on that because we're sick of it. It's disgusting. Nick Cannon, anti-Semitic. Because he talked about Black people being the Semites in an interview with our brother, Professor Griff. And he brought up those who were in the Caucasus Mountains, meaning Caucasian people. And he brought up, yeah, Black folks are Semitic people, which, by the way, later in this interview, again, Mr. Greenblatt, you admitted. So we're going to get to that because now it's like, wait a minute. So you owe Kyrie, Kanye, well, we'll work on that. You owe Kyrie, you owe Dave Chappelle, Minister Farrakhan, you owe a lot of people an apology. Let me move on to this point. So there's a lot that y'all have done wrong. Jews in Hollywood. Jews in Hollywood. You mentioned that although saying that Jews own Hollywood or run or control Hollywood is anti-Semitic, Hollywood was partially founded by the Jews. Hold on. Wait a minute. If you're the founder, that means you are the one who it originated with, who the idea came from, and who it was established because of. You're the founder. Oh yeah, y'all can type in more names into the list of who they called anti-Semitic. The list is endless. Jesse Jackson, you called anti-Semitic. Al Sharpton, you called anti-Semitic. Everybody just hates Jewish people, huh? Get over yourself. I'm going to say this to you. And I will say it to you in person, to your face, with the most genuine certainty and with true love. I'll say it. Get over yourself. We are dealing with some of the most horrific things in this country. Partially, you know what? Damn it. The Jewish control of our Holocaust, partially. You were a part of the transatlantic slave trading of our people. You helped to sponsor the shackles and chains that went over and around Black people's ankles, wrists, and necks. You helped to sponsor the ships that brought a lot of our ancestors over here. You were the one selling us on the auction block. We got a nigga here. He's 5'5". He's good at carpentry. He has a strong back. He can work as long as you need him to work. We got a nigga wench here. Yeah, she's nice, supple breasts. Yeah, she don't give you no back talk. Yeah. You were the auctioneers. 75% of the Jews owned slaves in the South. That is a fact. These books are compilations from Jewish writers, Jewish authors, Jewish rabbis, Jewish historians. These are your own words. Jewish writers, Jewish historians, Jewish rabbis. These are from your words, your people. I could just stay there that you have been a part of our Holocaust, but we were never a part of yours. You've done a lot wrong that you have not apologized for, that you have not made up for, that you have not repaired for, that you have not repented for, but that you continue to act as if you had no part in it and you dodge it all day long while calling us anti-Semitic when you have been one of the greatest groups of anti-Black people in your demonstration. But if we say something you don't like, we hate all Jewish people. It makes us sick. It's disgusting. You need to end it. Knock it off. Now, Mr. Greenblatt, knock it off. And this is why you don't have discussions and dialogues with us in public, because this is what you're going to get. And it won't even be this much fire. It won't. If you just sit down and have a conversation, but you don't want to hear this. Because rather than apologizing and using all of that money that y'all have and all the influence you have to make it right. You just keep dodging it as if you had nothing to do with it. You have zero accountability. It's evil, and we don't like it. Next point. I particularly am, I don't know about y'all. I like when white folks go back and forth with other white folks over truth. I like that. Finally. Yeah. What do I mean by that? At 10 minutes and 14 seconds, Mr. GreenBlatt, you brought up the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion. Rizza, what is the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion? What is that book? The Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion is a book written by Victor E. Marsden that they call one of the most anti-Semitic books in history. One of the most anti-Semitic books in history. Oh, this book is horrible. It is terrible. They call The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, books 1, 2, and 3. They also say that these books are anti-Semitic when it's from the words of Jewish rabbis, Jewish authors, Jewish historians. That's all these words are. The Nation of Islam just put it together. That's pretty much it. Put it together, chronicalized it, put the footnotes at the bottom, and said, hey, all these Jewish people that are saying what they're saying in these books, you call it anti-Semitic, okay, but you're not calling any of the Jewish people who wrote all these words anti-Semitic. You have to call all of them anti-Semitic because it's your people. Respected Jewish people. Okay, anyway, let's continue. This is how much sense you're not making, Mr. GreenBlatt. Let's continue. The Protocols of the Meetings of the Learned Elders of Zion. This book, for those of you who don't have this book, and I'm going to give you also another book that goes around that environment that goes in the same bucket for some of them. Behold a Pale Horse, written by another white man, Mr. William Cooper, who blew the whistle on a lot of what they do. This government hated William Cooper, for what he exposed, a lot of it. But let's read what the Protocols of the Meetings of the Learned Elders of Zion is about. Victor Emil Marsden was born in Salford, England in 1866, a journalist and translator best known for translating the most widespread English language version of the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, published posthumously in 1923, meaning after he passed away. The Protocols of the Elders of Zion is what they say. This is them now. How you know that they meddling? Because this is not on the back description of the book. The Protocols of the Elders of Zion is an anti-Semitic hoax. But stop it. See, let people read what it actually says. See this? Dang, y'all can't even let us read what it says. You're trying to tell us what to think about the book, but you don't control any media. You don't control. Guys, Mr. GreenBlatt. It was first published in Russia in 1903, translated into multiple languages, and disseminated internationally in the early part of the 20th century. Henry Ford funded the printing of over 500,000 copies that were then distributed throughout the United States in the 1920s. Adolf Hitler and the Nazis publicized the text as though it were a valid document, kind of how your organization continues to put horrifically disgusting, mischaracterizing things about Black leaders, our Black leaders, every single couple years. Every one of our Black leaders, you talk about them horribly, you lie about us, you mischaracterize them, you say they were this, you say they were that. Stop it. You both do that. Y'all do it too. But let's continue. After the Nazi Party came to power in 1933, it ordered the text to be studied in German classrooms. Okay, let's move past your indoctrination and let me just read what the book actually says at the back of it, guys. Come on now with this. Let's do this here because this is why. See, this is again, this, Guys. I just want to read to the people the back of the actual book. If you could stop not controlling the media that you don't control, can you? Okay, this is in real time, y'all. This is real time. So I don't have the book yet, but I will be getting a copy. Taken from the preface to the Protocols of Zion, the author of this translation of the famous Protocols was himself a victim of the revolution. He had lived for many years in Russia and was married to a Russian lady. Among his other activities in Russia, he had been for more. Let me read why the book was written, and that's all I'm looking for. Okay, so clearly you guys have hidden this. Let me just go let people know. The book was written and stated that there is a secret group of Jewish people who are pushing to control the world, and that their purpose is to take over every single system all over the world. That there is this effort of Jewish powers to control the world through banking and education, etc., etc. That's what the book's overall theme is. And so far, because you don't control the internet, there's no Jewish people controlling the internet at all. There's no Jewish people controlling media. Although the description of the book, it just so happens to say this is a anti-Semitic hoax. I wasn't reading a review. I was reading what the description of the book was on the internet. And it's like, geez, okay, guys, you didn't control anything like that at all, but you just so happened to control that. But you didn't, but you did. Now, let's continue to go to the next point. That book, he tried to attack and say that that book was terrible. It was just a bunch of theories and blah, 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 blah. He's white. Let me just say this. Mr. Victor E. Marsden is white. He was a white man. He wasn't black. He was a white man. Okay. A white man from England. So that's that book. Let me go to the next point here. Again, anything that's speaking the truth about anything that any Jewish person is doing is a conspiracy theory. But if anybody says anything that the Jewish community doesn't like or the ADL doesn't like, they're anti-Semitic off the bat, off the rip. Boom. Okay, you see the double standard here? You see how you're making no sense and why our community can't stand what you're saying, because it's literally making zero sense. Let's continue. Next point. At 10 minutes and 30 seconds, he said another stereotype is that Israel is controlling Congress. Well, wait a minute, Mr. Greenblatt. You might want to chill out. You just stepped into this position not too long ago. So if I were you, I really wouldn't try to take up for the Jewish state of Israel. I don't think you want that on your conscience. I don't think you want Palestinians being systemically murdered by Israeli soldiers on your conscience in the name of radical views of Judaism, saying that you're the chosen people and this is your homeland because you went in and invaded a place and you started killing these people off, and you have been killing them off since. In the Jewish state of Israel, you are helping to sterilize and inject birth control shots into Ethiopian Jewish women right now. Do you want this in your conscience? You systemically keep Ethiopian Jewish people out of different parts of Israel because you don't believe that they truly are Jews. But you're the only Jew, even though you converted in the 8th century. You're not the original Jew, but fine. That's another response for another question, because that was brought up. But let's continue. So Israel controlling Congress is not a conspiracy theory. Okay. Why is it that so many members of Congress have to stand with Israel in order to be admitted fully? And when I say admitted fully, I mean for their word to even be taken serious to a degree. That's what the climate, that's what the culture suggests. If you don't stand with Israel, your career is not too smooth in Congress. Rizza, how do you know this? Because my major was political science in college. I did not graduate on purpose. And I not only studied it, but I met with many congressmen and women. I went to the Congressional Black Caucus in Washington, D.C., and I looked at AIPAC. And like the American Israeli, wait a minute, AIPAC, hold on, let me get the exact abbreviation correct here. AIPAC, because I was like, wait, what is AIPAC? The American Israel Public Affairs Committee. Why is it that so many members of Congress and different politicians meet with and go to APAC, and that is looked at as a standard to determine whether or not they are fully trustworthy? Are y'all fully with it? You really down with this or not? Because if you're not down with Israel, you're not going to really get all the support you need in Congress. And that is well known. This is a well-known fact. So, Mr. GreenBlatt, that's another point. For shame, sir. You're not being genuine. 11 minutes. Radicalized Asian Muslim. He brought up an Asian who attacked a synagogue in Texas and took hostages. Okay, that's legit. That's legit. And guess what, Mr. GreenBlatt? We understand. We understand. I think we understand better than most. We understand. Interesting. Because right after that, you bring up the fact that these attacks are happening to Jewish people. And when we talk about attacks happening, see, this is what happens. I don't consider somebody disagreeing with me an attack. I don't consider somebody telling me they don't like me because I'm black an attack. I don't consider somebody saying, oh, I don't like you because you're in the Nation of Islam as an attack. I don't consider someone saying, oh, I don't like you because you're Muslim an attack. I don't consider anybody, I don't give a damn. An attack is not just verbal. An attack to you is verbal. An attack to us is every single thing that we continue to suffer from. And not only that, but you brought up the fact that synagogues are being attacked. So now every synagogue, what you said, Mr. GreenBlatt, has an armed guard outside of it. Did you know that, Mr. Charlemagne? He said that, right? Again, trying to find some common ground. Mr. GreenBlatt, the Nation of Islam has had guards, FOI, guarding the mosque since its inception over 80 years ago, because we are behind enemy lines from being victimized from your people and white radical, whatever you want to call them, racist white folks in America. We've been had security from the beginning. You're just now saying that there's armed guards now because we're attacked, because you don't have a history of being attacked in America on a consistent basis because of your religion, because of your skin color, because of your culture, because of anything. You don't have a long history, and I'm talking about in high numbers. Let's get this straight. One person here and there, an individual here and there, 2 people, 5 people here and there who are Jewish getting attacked. That's what that is. That's 1 here, that's 2 there, that's 5 here, that's 10 there. Those are legit attacks. It's wrong. And nobody should attack anybody because of their religion. That's wrong. However, let's look at it, not compare. Let's just look at it to see if we understand. Black people have been getting murdered, shot, raped, robbed, lynched, burned, horrifically destroyed, ripped apart by dogs, water hoses, diseases, by this government on a consistent basis every day up until a certain point where it slowed down a little bit. Nation of Islam has had security at the door and all around the mosque for over 80 years. You just now are putting armed guards at the synagogues, which proves the point. You're not the main target in America. You haven't been, yet you keep saying the number one hatred in America and the world is anti-Semitism. No, it's not. No, it's not. Let's continue. At 13 minutes, you bring up the Black Hebrew Israelites. First off, let me say shalom to those who live the righteous tenets and to the righteous principles who refer to themselves as Hebrew Israelites. We know we're the Hebrews. Boom. Simple as that. But there are people in every group who do not properly represent and may go out here and do some crazy stuff. So let's get that straight. Every individual may not represent properly. Let's get that straight. However, you brought up the Black Hebrew Israelites and you said they're anti-Semitic. Let me let y'all know right now before I finish this thing, the one group he did not bring up that he should have brought up was the Nation of Islam. Because you already know we got the books on you. full documents. And we have been the target of your hatred for years. But you brought up the Black Hebrew Israelites. No. Stop dancing around the real people. You didn't bring up Minister Farrakhan's name once. You didn't bring up the Nation of Islam once. Because you already know that's not smoke that you ever want, because you have been a horrific person. Talking about the ADL, the body of the ADL, when it comes to the Nation of Islam in particularly, and Black people generally. But you have been beating the Nation of Islam for years. Minister Farrakhan specifically. Then next to him, Malcolm X, Elijah Muhammad, all of our leaders, you've been beating our people. But you knew better. That's why you didn't mention our name. You already knew. But you're going to get this work anyway. Now, let's continue. 1345, a very interesting point that you brought up at 13 minutes and 45 seconds that you should not have brought up because that wasn't too wise. You brought up Kanye West putting up a swastika. I need everyone to type into the chat here. Swastika. Please type into the chat the word swastika. Please type into the chat swastika. Here is a lesson in understanding when your enemy is trying to get you to dislike people because they dislike people. That's not proper. The swastika is another thing that white folks stole. So let me say this. Let me say this really quick. The swastika is a symbol that belongs to original melanated people on the planet thousands and thousands and thousands of years before white people even knew it was a thought. The swastika, to make it very plain for you, is a symbol that has been used by the Indians for thousands of years in Sanskrit. In Sanskrit, everyone type in Sanskrit, S-A-N, Sanskrit, S-A-N-S-K-R-I-T. In Sanskrit, the word swastika means well-being. It means well-being. The swastika is a symbol that has been used by the Hindus, by the Buddhists, by the Jains for millennia. The swastika was snatched and stolen like almost everything that white people have taken. The swastika was taken around 1920 by the Nazis to be added to a part of their symbol, which is this. This is their symbol, right? That's their symbol that you've seen on the arms of Nazi soldiers and pictures and different things like that. This was their symbol. This is theirs, right? May I break this down really quick? In 1920, Adolf Hitler decided that the Nazi Party needed its own insignia and flag. For Hitler, the new flag had to be, quote, a symbol of our struggle, end quote, as well as, quote, highly effective as a poster, end quote. So on August the 7th, 1920, right, the year 1920, prior to 1920, the Nazis did not have this. They didn't have the swastika in there as that symbol prior to 1920. So again, white folks, you're stealing our stuff again. And they're making it something terrible when it was something good. Let's continue. 1920, type the date in, 1920. At the Salzburg Congress, this flag became the official emblem of the Nazi Party. In Mein Kampf, which is Adolf Hitler's diary, his book, Mein Kampf is German, Mein Kampf, which translates roughly to English as my struggle. In his book Mein Kampf, Hitler described the Nazis' new flag as, quote, in red, we see the social idea of the movement. In white, the nationalistic idea. In the swastika, the mission of the struggle for the victory of the Aryan man. And by the same token, the victory of the idea, creative work, which is as, and such always has been and always will be anti-Semitic. Okay. Every color meant something different. The red meant something different, as he was saying that the red meant the social idea of the movement. The white was for the nationalistic idea of the movement, of the pure race, the Aryan race. And then the swastika for the push for victory, the mission of the struggle, the victory of the Aryan man. Another little piece here, just a little side note. The Aryans, who were looking up to a man by the name of Bishop Arius. Bishop Arius was a black man. Okay, Bishop Arius. He was one of the over 300 bishops that was present at the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD. Bishop Arius was a black man. He was okay. Listen, wait. Woo. Okay. Should have never gave you niggas books. I know. That's why you didn't let us read, because this is bad. It's bad. It's really bad. It's like really bad. Like really bad. Okay. If Hitler knew that Bishop Arius was a black man, he'd be rolling around in his grave. There was black folks, the Aryans. And they fled from the Council of Nicaea because they found out that Constantine was going to assassinate him. And so they fled. Him and his followers became known as the Aryans. It was black. Woo! Aryans. Black folk. Anyway, now, so that's a point of fact when it comes to this. So let me take it a little further, if y'all don't mind, when it comes to this whole swastika. Point number one, here are some pictures here of swastika, fine eating California fruit. There are some flyers there. That's a metal clip of a swastika that Coca-Cola used. That was back then when Coca-Cola, for 5 cents, you could buy a bottle of Coke for 5 cents back then. Coca-Cola company used it. I hope y'all see that. Boom, boom, boom. Let us take it a little further. For those of you who live in New York, let's go ahead and just drop that on you one time. For the one time, did you know that there is a swastika city in New York? Oh, you're going to wake up. You're going to wake up tonight. Somebody said, what? Somebody was sleeping on their pillow like this. What? Hell, hold on. What? Did you know there's a swastika city in New York? Did you know that they voted to keep the name Swastika New York back in 2020? They voted to keep the name because they said we are keeping the name in remembrance of the original definition, which is in Sanskrit, which is Hindu or Indian, which means good fortune. We're not doing this because of Hitler. They took it and they stole it. Did you know that there's a swastika city in Canada? Really? Mr. GreenBlatt. Mr. GreenBlatt. Word? So Kanye putting up the swastika. Now, context does matter here. I don't know what Kanye meant when he put up the swastika. Maybe he did understand the original purpose of the whole swastika, which has been used by melanated people all across the planet. Let's make this clear. All across the planet for thousands of years, and had nothing to do with Hitler. So again, let's kill that noise. Let's kill that. All right, let's end that. It don't belong to the Nazis. It never did. They stole it. But when he put it up, I don't know what the intent was behind it. So I can't say, yes, it was because he understood the original definition in Sanskrit, meaning good fortune, and he did it because of the Hindus, and he did it because it was being used in Ethiopia and all over the world as a symbol of good fortune and good faith and peace. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But I am educating on the fact that the symbol was stolen. It did have one of the greatest purposes behind it. And Rizza, go a little further, which is why there are cities named after it, which is why the Navajo tribe uses the swastika as one of its primary symbols within its tribe. Did you know that? I believe it wasn't until 1941 or 1942 that Phoenix, or Arizona generally, removed the symbols, the swastika, because of what was happening after World War II. But the Navajo tribe uses the swastika as one of its primary symbols and has been doing that long before Hitler. Did you know that? Type in Navajo tribe. Type in Navajo tribe. Okay. Let's continue. There's a swastika city in New York. There's a swastika city in Canada. Coca-Cola used to have the swastika on some of its materials when it was selling things. The Navajo tribe uses the swastika as one of its symbols. Can I go a little further? May I go a little further? Because I wanted to show you how many multiple cultures use the swastika. We'll mention some, but I first want to show you. Hopefully you can see that. Hopefully you can see this. If you can, yeah, there you go. On YouTube. I'm going to show you on Instagram right now, but on YouTube, do you see these? Do you see all these different nations, cultures that have used the swastika? All of them are older than the Nazis. Let's make that clear. Let's look at this. We are here on Instagram now. Look at these nations. Look at these nations. Look at these cultures that have been using the swastika symbol for hundreds, if not thousands of years, all over the world. And let me go ahead and read off some of them, if you don't mind. None of them had anything to do with Hitler. Again, he is a newcomer to the planet. So get this stigma off of it. Move him out the way. And let's go back to the history that we were not told. Let's go back to what actually happened. The Hindus have a type of swastika. In Ghana, there is a variation of a swirled type of swastika. The Jains have a form of swastika. 10,000 BC, they had swastikas in pairs of 4. In Ethiopia, the swastika is used. That's what the one is in Ethiopia in particularly. That's the one. Matter of fact, here, the Hindus and Ethiopians, this is how theirs looks. Those are both swastikas. Hindus and Ethiopians, swastikas. Boom. Hindus and Ethiopians, swastikas. Let's continue. In China, they have swastikas. The Aztecs have their version of the swastika. Armenians have their variations of the swastika. Would it shock you that even in the Jewish community, they have a version of a swastika? Right here. We're just educating. That's a swastika. That's a swastika in the Jewish community. And I don't know exactly which area of the Jewish community. In Tibet, that's the Tibetan swastika. That's the Tibetan swastika. In Finland, they have one that goes in 4 directions. The Celtic swastika, the Greek swastika, in Bali, their version of the swastika, that's in Bali. That's in Bali, their version of the swastika. Let's see, almost done. In Asia, the swastika. Christians, some older Christians, and especially Ethiopian Christians too. Let's make that clear. That's the version of the swastika for them. That's the version of the swastika for them. Ninjas, even the swastika that they have. In Japan, that is their version of the swastika. A lot of these, I've seen a lot of these symbols. These are considered swastikas. In Japan, that's the green one there. In Spain, their version of the swastika. There may be a little change. It may be a little more rounder on the edges. It may be a little shorter on the edges. The Navajo tribe. All they added was some arrows. Think about that. The Navajo, prior to the Nazis, the Navajo tribes. Boom. With theirs, and I think, the Hopi, much older than the Nazis. In Islam, in Peru. Look at this. In Peru and in Islam. Really quick, I'm just harping on this to give you some examples of swastikas. Y'all see that? Okay. And the last two that I'm going to show is the Hopi and in Vietnam. These are swastikas. Just to become educated. Nothing to do with Hitler. Nothing to do with Nazis. Okay. All right. So to that point, when it comes to bringing up Kanye, putting up swastikas, we hear you to the pain of what your people have suffered under a man that stole the symbol. We get that. However, the symbol itself ain't got nothing to do with them. They stole it. So those people over there, they ain't got nothing to do with all of the original members of the human family all across the planet who've been using it for thousands of years. I just wanted to go ahead and put that in context. Again, I don't know how Kanye was using it, but I want to make sure we educated all of you so that you knew there's far more to those symbols than some Nazis. All right, let's get that clear. It's like saying it's more lies, more historical lies that they are not speaking on. 14 minutes, he said there's anti-Israel rallies happening every week. Yes, we are doing over why that is, because you're killing off Palestinians, you are injecting sterilizing chemicals and birth control into Ethiopian Jewish women. You're doing all kinds of horrific things to people in Israel, and Israel has been behind some of the most horrific policies that are anti-human policies, period. Yes, I understand why there are rallies against Israel and Zionists, people who support the Jewish state of Israel. Not support a safe place for you to have as a home, but support the horrible actions that you're committing. Simple as that. Let's continue at 14 minutes and 20 seconds. Again, remember when a person's trying to make themselves we are so important. We are important. This is what I mean. At 14 minutes and 20 seconds, Mr. Greenblatt, you said the Jews are the most hated and attacked religious group in America while being less than 2% of the population. Mr. Greenblatt, I'm not going to harp too long on this because that's just a blatant, outright lie. That's just not true at all. Not even close. Not only is it not true, it's actually very insulting to all of those who are victims more than you are victims, because you brought up a quantity. You brought up an amount. You said the most attacked. Okay, so that means you're attacked more than a lot of the Christians who most people in America identify as Christians, who are attacked because of whatever reason. You're attacked more than Muslims, although there has not been an event that has quite literally put your entire group in America as target number one, enemy number one. Policies like the Patriot Act created just because of you. Lists of countries have been set up just because of you. 9/11 put Muslims on the number one most hated list. Don't get around them. Be afraid of them. They are devils. They're all going to blow you up. They're all evil. They're all going to Muslims. 9/11. After 9/11, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? If you want to go to people being persecuted and hated because of their religion and the number one most attacked, are you serious? Are you serious, Mr. Greenblatt? Word. People are attacked because of their religious beliefs, no matter what their religious beliefs are. It happens, and it's wrong, no matter what the person's religion is. But what I'm not going to do is get up there and say, you know what I'm saying? Look, members of the Nation of Islam are the number one most attacked group of people in America based upon, our religion, because that's not true, because people know we are with the business if you attack one of us. If you attack us, we are not trained to say, oh my God, wars. No. We are trained to fight like hell with those who fight against us if they are the aggressor. If you start a fight, if you physically attack me, I'm not going to pray for you. I'm going to respond to you and defend myself. So we couldn't qualify to be called the most physically attacked religious group. But when it comes to the most attacked character-wise, when it comes to the most attacked as it pertains to our very existence in media, in the way you manipulate certain kinds of film and how you characterize us when it comes to the papers and different things like that. Yes, we are the number one target of the ADL when it comes to our image being attacked and our belief being attacked and our very existence being attacked. We are the number one target. That is a fact. Rizza, prove it. The ADL has called Minister Farrakhan the Black Hitler. I'm going to let y'all marinate on that just for a few seconds before I finish the rest of this nonsense. Y'all marinated enough on that? Y'all marinated enough on that? Okay. You have the audacity to, out of your mouth, call a black man who has never harmed your people, called for the attack of your people, called for the genocide of your people. He's not white. Hitler was white. I know you don't like people saying that, but he was a white man who also killed some of our people. Hitler was white. You're white. Hitler was white. He killed black people too in Auschwitz, in the Holocaust. Black folks were murdered there too. And you have the most disgusting, disrespectful, backhanded. That is disgusting. To call a black man who has helped to bring life and resurrect our people and help us, whether you agree with him or not, you have the audacity to call him a Hitler? Something's wrong with y'all. Deeply wrong with you. Like you are sick in the head. Something's deeply, disgustingly wrong with you. So, you're not the number one most attacked and hated religious group in America. That's not the fact. That is not factually correct at all. Next point. 15 minutes and 15 seconds. Synagogues have armed guards. Yes, but the Nation of Islam has always had guards. We've always had security because of our being attacked on a consistent basis, because we have been targeted. Period. That's just what it is. All right. And black folks too. But every religious group should be defended. You should have your own security. However you want to do it. That's fine. Cool. But I don't think you should be bragging like, do you know this is how much we're being hated? No, knock it off. Stop that. That's called transference. We're trying to make a person feel bad for you by exaggerating your feelings when it's not true. If you're being attacked, okay. But when you try to compare your being attacked to somebody else's being attacked, and you start to try to minimize everybody else and say, because we are the most, no, you got to stop that. Stop. You're not. If you're being attacked, you say you're being attacked and you deserve to be protected by your own people. Y'all deserve that. But knock this off because it's a lie. All right, let's continue. 15:50. I'm almost done, y'all. I know. I'm just running through it. At 15 minutes and 50 seconds. Okay. GreenBlatt goes into Jew versus Jewish, an American Jew. He's an American Jew born here. His grandfather is a Holocaust survivor who fought in the war. And at 16 minutes and 45 seconds, GreenBlatt says that his wife is an Iranian Jew and that she's specifically Persian. That's very interesting because of this relationship or the lack thereof between Iran and Israel. But your wife is an Iranian Jew who's Persian. So it's just interesting because of how much of a problem they make for us just saying something. You're married to an Iranian Jewish woman. And Iran, and Israel, that whole tension there. I just found that interesting. Next point. 17 minutes and 50 seconds. Saying Jew is okay depending on the context. Charlemagne and then DJ Envy were asking, okay, so how can we say Jew? Is it okay to say it? Is it okay? To Charlemagne and brother DJ Envy, the one thing I really disliked, among many other things, but one thing I will say is stop being so slave-like. Stop doing this. It was embarrassing to watch two grown men talking away. Well, I just want to make sure I'm not. I don't want to do a Jewish. How do I? Can I? And I'm being real. All right. I'm saying, and I will say this to y'all in person as your brother. Please stop this. They are not God. I'll be damned if we go into 2023 and there's still some of our people talking like this. You can do that, but make sure you do that on your own time. But you need to stop this. Talking like I did. Stop, yo. It disgusted me. The hell is wrong with you? Johnathan GreenBlatt is a white man. And this is why I have to just cut it straight like this. I will never pander to a white person, ever. What is that? What is wrong with some of us? That sickness has to end. You have to stop it. There's nothing manly nor masculine about this. You got a show, but if you don't have respect, your show means nothing. If you got a whole lot of money, but you have no respect, your money means nothing. You have no respect from your people. It means nothing. Grow a damn backbone and stop being so damn soft, because our generation is watching you. And I'm going to tell you right now, you will not be spoken of well if you continue to bend over for them rather than at least just communicating like a man to a man. That's all. Just communicate. It's okay. But that was very disheartening, man. Really. And y'all are older than us. So it's just soft. It's disgusting. It's unnecessary softness. Okay, that's unnecessary. Communicating in a way where you're not trying to be combative, that's one thing. But that's how I can I'm not making fun of you. That's how you were sounding. And it really was too much. It was just bad. Next point. Let's skip down to 1815, Mr. Johnathan, 1815, boy, interesting year. 1815, Mr. GreenBlatt said, well, here's another thing. All right, this is what he does, and a number of them do, to try to find common ground to make it seem like, yeah, we understand each other. You know what I'm saying? Okay, first of all, there is no equivalent to the N-word. There is no equivalent to the N-word. There is no equivalent to the N-word. Now, in other cultures, they have their word that means to them what the N-word means to us, but there is no equivalent to the pain, the horror, all of the history, everything that was inside of it and around it. That is a pregnant, horrific term. That everything that happened behind it was something specific. So Mr. GreenBlatt, the term Jew being used in a derogatory manner, kind of like how the Nazis or neo-Nazis or any of them would use it, is still not the equivalent to the N-word. I need us to stop doing these false equivalencies, these false comparisons. Just be you and do you, and we will be us and do us. All right? So I just want to kind of point that out. Stop it. All right? We get it. Certain ways that you don't like words being said about you, got it. Certain ways we don't like words being said about us. Absolutely. We got it. 1830, Charlemagne uses his comments about Jewish people after Nick Cannon. Charlemagne was mentioning certain people that were being, talked about when it comes to certain things that were being said. When it comes to Jewish people. And he said, well, no, we didn't even say it in a derogatory manner. We just said Jew or Jewish. Is that which one is right? And he was like, oh, I think it's okay. You can say Jewish depending on the context, or Jew depending on that. I'm going to say what I'm going to say. And I'm not going to mean it in a negative connotation. Just speak straight words. Period. Because really, I'm going to say this to you as well, Mr. Greenblatt, let's continue. But a lot of the times when y'all call black folks anti-Semitic, you're really saying nigga. How y'all say it. And you know what I'm talking about. A lot of the time when y'all say, he's an anti-Semite, what you're saying is nigga. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. A lot of the times when you're saying it about black folks, you're saying nigga. How are you saying it, right? Yes, you are. And we watch you every time. That's why we check you every time. Now, hold up. You had a little more energy in that time versus when you called Donald Trump that. You had a little more energy when you called Whoopi Goldberg that, who was Jewish, right? Interesting, but she's still a nigga. So when you called her, an anti-Semitic, I had a little more energy on it. Every time you call one of us anti-Semite, there's a little more energy on it. You know what we're talking about. Let's continue. Let's move forward. Greenblatt says, we don't just call anybody anti-Semitic. It's a pattern. He said, it's a pattern. It's a pattern. Okay. We look at your pattern to see if you have continuously over a period of time done things that would be considered. No, that's not true either. Because if that's the case, why don't you just have a conversation with people? You call people anti-Semitic because you don't like them. If you don't like them and you're Jewish, you call them anti-Semitic. That's all. That's it. There's nothing else. Let's continue. Number 20, Charlemagne said, we need Jews in our corner. Charlemagne? I am all for relations among different groups of people. I'm all for that. I know all of y'all not going to be able to stay on here. That's fine. I'm going to finish this thing up. If y'all got to go to sleep, go to sleep. I feel you. I'm all for relations when it comes to interreligious relations and learning about one another, etc. What I'm not into is I am not into lying to make somebody else comfortable in their wrongness. That's what I'm not into. And that's what I saw here. We don't need people in our corner who do not actually want to see us successful and truly help us to be successful. Period. That's it. We're not into anything like that. I'm not going to bend over to make somebody else comfortable when they are the ones who should be apologizing to us for what they have done to us. We will never get off of this, ever. Just like y'all never forget. You're right. I'm with you on that. We agree. Never forget. Let's continue. He also said this right here, Mr. Greenblatt, at 20 minutes and 19 seconds, he brought up Kyrie Irving. He said, well, Kyrie Irving, I don't think he was anti-Semitic. I think he was just ignorant. No, he literally wasn't ignorant. That's what made y'all mad. He said, how can I be anti-Semitic if I know where I came from? Oh, y'all don't like that because you think you're the only Jewish people on the planet or the only Jew on the planet. You're Jewish, but you think you're the only ones on the planet who are a part of that. Nah, you're not. And then later on, he admits that there are black Jews. So wait a minute, Mr. Greenblatt. At 20 minutes and 30 seconds, on the Kyrie thing, they were trying to buck break him in the public to try to shut him up and make him do the same thing that they normally have people do. Apologize, meet with the ADL, go on an apology tour, go visit Israel, go and see the Holocaust Museum, blah, 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 blah. Disrespectful, disgustingly disrespectful to our own people who you have put in the condition that you have put us in. You have to stop. You're not God. You are no authority. You're not relevant. Knock it off. It's disrespectful. Kyrie was right. Black folks stood up heavily. And we clapped back in a righteous, united manner to stand up for a brother who did not do anything wrong. And that's what they noticed. And that's why y'all backed off. That's why. Had nothing to do with anything else because you were wrong. And you came at the right one at the right time when the people were watching and the people said, you might want to sit the hell down. You're disrespectful. You're racist as hell. And we're tolerating your racism right now, but we're done with it. Sit down, go find some business. And y'all, yeah, get out of here. You're a nuisance. Get away. Go. Seriously, you have actual real problems. There are some people who really may not like you. Mostly neo-Nazis, white folk. So go over there. But leave us the hell alone, because what you're doing is disrespectful and wrong. Next point. At 20 minutes and 30 seconds, he said, we're working on Amazon right now. He said, we're going after Amazon. The only reason why you're going after Amazon is because everybody pointed it out that Amazon is making money from the movie, not Kyrie. Amazon is the one who has the movie on their platform, not Kyrie. Amazon is the one selling it, getting all the chips, all of that, boop, 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 boop. Amazon, not Kyrie. So now all of a sudden you're trying to make it seem like, well, no, we really are. No, you're racist and your card was exposed. And this is what you've been doing since the ADL was established. This is what you've always done. The only difference is it has now been brought out in the public. That's all. That's all. So you really need to kill the noise. You ain't going after Jeff Bezos. He said he sent an email and is talking to the CEO of Amazon, and he said they're working on it to try to get things situated. Let me tell you just how far they're going with this. At 20 minutes and 50 seconds, he brought up Dave Chappelle, Kyrie Irving, Amazon, and Twitter. You're not going to have white folks cut their money because you don't like something. This is another thing I'm learning about certain white folks in power. If they're making money off of something, they're not just going to take it down just because one of their white cousins don't like it. I'm just being honest with you. In the Babylonian Talmud, which is a part of the laws in the Jewish community, a part of them. Not all Jewish people follow the Talmud. They don't even subscribe to it, but it has a large level of influence over their community. In the Babylonian Talmud, it does say something about being able to do things or be involved in money moves, making money, etc., from certain things if they are anti-Semitic. But as long as we're making money from it, it's permissible. And I'm paraphrasing, but that is permitted. That's permitted as long as they make money from it. That's why the CEO, who is Jewish, is like, no, we're not taking it down. No, we're not. Which is like, dang, so is he not Jewish? Is he anti-Semitic? Is the CEO of Amazon anti-Semitic because he refuses to take down a film that you consider to be anti-Semitic because Kyrie just put it up there? Let's continue. This is how much power the ADL has when it comes to certain levels of influence. Let's go ahead and look at this real quick. And by the way, the Talmud is very evil. It's called the Babylonian Talmud. It's anti-Black. It's racist as hell. It is disgusting. A lot of stuff they have in there is horrible. Being able to have sex with minors is okay. Lying to people who are not Jews is considered okay. It talks about Jesus burning in boiling semen in the Babylonian Talmud. I know now some of y'all who was falling asleep, you woke up again. In the Talmud, Talmud, I just want to make sure y'all get how seriously off that group of books. I believe, I don't know exactly how many, but I believe there's more than 9 of them in the Babylonian Talmud. I just want to make sure we get this, right? Let's continue. Next point. At 21 minutes and 5 seconds, the ADL is working with the German government, listen to this. The movie's so anti-Semitic that you're going to work with the German government. Okay, remember? Okay, Nazi Germany, Holocaust, right? But fine, you're working with the German government to get the movie taken down from Amazon's Germany location on the internet. Because in Germany, they have the movie up on Amazon. So the ADL is working to get the movie taken down in the German part of Amazon. What? What? You guys are Mr. Greenblatt. Amazon has Mein Kampf, which is Adolf Hitler's journal. Amazon has multiple movies and books about the Nazis. Amazon has multiple things dealing with Nazis itself, but you haven't told them to take none of that stuff down, but you're going after a movie that you don't like because a Black man posted it up. You're not making no sense. No sense at all. He said it's illegal. The ADL is working with the German government to get rid of the movie because the Holocaust denialism is illegal in Germany. It is illegal to deny that the Holocaust ever happened in Germany. It is illegal. It is illegal to believe that the Holocaust never happened in Germany. To go in Germany and say that I don't believe the Holocaust happened is illegal. I guess you'll go to jail, etc. I don't know. But okay, that's interesting because on the flip side, here in America, white people can say slavery ain't got nothing to do with me all day long. And I ain't got to pay no reparations. I didn't own no slaves. You wasn't a slave. Why do I got to make up for what some of my ancestors did? My great-grandparents and all them, I didn't do that. They did that. Damn, you can say that all day long in America. That's a power trip for your backside right there. Damn. Damn. Really? With all the stuff y'all done? With the blackface of Al Jolson and the Mammy and Mantan Moreland and how you pictured us in Disney cartoons and all the stuff y'all have done with selling us and buying us in slavery and owning us in the South and helping to bring us over here on those ships and all that stuff. But we can say slavery, F slavery. We ain't got to pay. Mitch McConnell over in the White House said, I don't believe that we should have to pay money for what happened to the people. Okay, but the Holocaust of Nazi Germany didn't happen in America, but you're helping to pay that too. Every year, America pays money to Israel every year since the 1940s when the Jewish state of Israel was established. But America's been paying billions every year. Off the top, actually. See, you're not making no sense, but you're proving our point. Again, let's continue. 21 minutes and 50 seconds. The CEO of Amazon says, quote, it's a slippery slope if they take down the film. Of course. Why? Because they're going to have to take down every damn film that people don't like from Amazon, which is retarded. And I'm going to use that term, retarded. I work with children with special needs. That's not what I'm talking about. So I know it's 2022. You try to police people's language. You're not going to do that here. It's a colloquial term that most cultures use to describe something that doesn't make any sense. So let's end that right now. It makes zero sense. Completely zero sense. So the CEO of Amazon said, it's a slippery slope if we take down that film, because that means every single person that doesn't like a certain film because of however they feel it pictures this person this way, whatever, will get taken down. You're not making sense. You're not making sense. Let's continue. And GreenBlatt said in 22 minutes and 19 seconds, don't cancel, counsel. That's the goal, but you never do that. Should I say for the most part, when it comes to our people, you don't do that. You just use the power that you don't have over the media that you don't control to control Hollywood that you don't control, to attack people's careers you have no control over whatsoever. Let's continue. 22 minutes and 40 seconds. He talks about Dave Chappelle and comedians making jokes, and that this joke was offensive. Charlemagne and DJ Envy said, listen, comedians have talked about everybody and everything. They talk about sexuality. They talk about religions. They talk about cultures, white, black, and all in between. Comedians have always done it. But when you talk about Jewish people, and now, of course, LGBT or trans, nobody's above being talked about in a joke. That's the law of comedy. Sorry. Black folks have been talked about in comedy for years. If we got to deal with it, you deal with it. It's a joke. Get over it. And I mean that. It's a joke. Stop it. Because there was no horrible thing that Dave Chappelle. He didn't say nothing about the Holocaust and nothing. He didn't go there. All right. But stop. He pointed out the facts. So stop it. You are not above anybody. See, this is what we got to get, right? We're all equal. We're all human beings. Good. We're all human beings. Sit down and listen to yourself be talked about on stage like we do. Okay, let's continue. 23:25, he said, well, it's because Dave Chappelle did a different monologue than the one that he rehearsed backstage. And see, again, you ain't nobody's daddy. Like, y'all got to get this through your head. You still have a slave master mentality. You're proving it, Mr. GreenBlatt. You have a slave master mentality. Let's continue. 24 minutes and 50 seconds. Mr. GreenBlatt said, a lot of Hollywood executives are Jewish, but Jews don't run Hollywood. Okay. All right. Let's go with that. Double speak wordplay. Let's go with that. A lot of Jews are executives in Hollywood. The Jews don't run Hollywood, but we just so happen to be a lot of prominent executives in Hollywood that are Jewish, but we don't run it. Okay. The word executive. Fine, whatever. I'm not going to go tit for tat, but I had to go and respond to all of these things. 25 minutes and 18 seconds. Black people are not responsible for, he was going into the trauma and all that. And the thing that I was looking at right there, he was going over all this trauma that they have. But we're not responsible for Jewish people's trauma. That was one major point that I was looking at. Also, 25 minutes and 50 seconds. Charlamagne the God was pointing out that it just looks like Black people get harsher punishments when called anti-Semitic versus everybody else, because they're talking about Donald Trump and different things like that. That's a fact, because we're still Negroes in a lot of their minds, a lot of the ones at the top. All right, so let's just continue. 27 minutes. A white man by the name of Leonard Myers. The ADL went after him because he made some anti-Semitic comments, blah, 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 and they destroyed his whole career. And DJMV and Charlamagne said, do y'all ever look back and think like that y'all did that? That you did that the ADL destroyed this man's career? Do you ever look at that? No? All right, let's continue. Again, it's just funny. 27 minutes and 50 seconds. GreenBlatt calls the Nets. He called the Nets and spoke about Kyrie and said that Kyrie should be able to play. Again, it doesn't matter. All these little gestures that they make, that they try to make it seem like, oh, we're your friends. We don't trust you. Only Black people that trust the ADL are the ones who don't know the facts and the ones who don't have any knowledge of the history or the present. And if you do, then there's something wrong. This is why none of you are qualified to speak on behalf of Black people if you do not know and are unwilling to communicate what the Jewish community has done to our people and have a genuine conversation about it. If you don't have the facts, sit down. Van Jones, that was despicable. Mr. Jones, love the good work that you've done, brother. However, that was despicable. Let me skip past that. Okay, skip past that. Okay, 28 and 50. This is something that I want y'all to know. The ADL's tentacles run very thick, meaning they have their hands in all kinds of different things that you may not realize. GreenBlatt in 28 minutes and 50 seconds says, quote, we have children that we talk to. He said, my sons wear Kyrie's jerseys. He said, but we talked to the Nets. We met with the families of some of the people who work with the Nets, the Players Association, the league, Kyrie's friends. I spoke with his stepmother, who was his agent. I've spoken with his father. I haven't spoken with Kyrie yet, but we've done all of these things. What the hell are you so involved in a man's personal life for? See, this is, again, when you have a slave master mentality. A slave master mentality. I'm going to get involved in what are you doing over here? Talking to Kyrie's friends, talking to his family, talking to the league, talking to the Players Association. What? What are you doing? What are you doing? Really? All right, mind you, Kyrie is not the only one who they do this to. This is what they do on a regular. This is what y'all got to know. When Kanye was talking about what they've been doing to him, he was not lying. He was not lying. They get all involved in your family. And I'm not generalizing all Jews. I'm talking about the ADL and their practices. They get involved in your life. Seriously. Let's continue. Next point. 29 minutes and 20 seconds. He said he's willing to meet with Kyrie, but hasn't met with him yet. At 30 minutes, he said, I wouldn't speak with Mel Gibson because Charlamagne and DJ Envy asked him, is there anybody who you wouldn't meet with? He said, I don't think me and Mel Gibson will have tea anytime soon. Okay, but aren't you supposed to be forgiving, Mr.? And of course, he did not mention Minister Farrakhan's name, and he did not mention the Nation of Islam's name. Okay, of course not. You just keep calling people names like a child. Just keep calling people names like a child, but won't sit down and have a conversation with them. See, it's like that little punk at school, always running to the principal, lying on you, but then always pulling pranks on you, doing stuff to you, and then running, acting as if they didn't do nothing. You're a punk. And I mean that when it comes to not being able to sit down and have a conversation, but always talking about people, calling people names. You're a punk. You're a child in the way you operate when you do what you're doing. Brought up Mel Gibson. Ain't nobody thinking about Mel Gibson. See, stop playing. You know, you were sitting around black folks. You know who we talking about. We're not thinking about Mel Gibson. Say Farrakhan's name. Say it 3 times. Watch me. Gonna pop up on you for discussion, not to do anything to harm you. Oh my God, because this clip's gonna be taken. He's gonna. Jesus Lord, it's really sick. All right, let's continue. 31 minutes and 40 seconds. GreenBlatt says, I take criticism, but I just don't want to. I just want to do what's right, not wrong. That's, again, you're just talking. You're not meaning what you're saying. 32 minutes and 10 seconds. What about private household conversations? DJ Envy asked about this. He said, what about private conversations at home that are had and they end up getting leaked out? What if somebody says something in a private conversation at home and you consider that to be anti-Semitic? We're not your slaves. If you think we're your slaves, you can go to hell. Anybody who thinks that black people are still their slaves, go to the hottest part of hell and enjoy it. Sit there, marinate. Do you? You are not our slave master. We're not your slave. I'll leave it at that. You don't exist when it comes to who is the authority. God is the authority. Whatever you call God, it, him, her, the universe, whatever. God is the authority. Period. All right, let's continue. I don't care if I end up saying something and it's not to be anti-Semitic, but I will say this. A lot of what I'm saying right now, you'll just call anti-Semitic. You call everything anti-Semitic. So it doesn't matter. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. You don't want to have a conversation with us, but you want to talk about us all the time. You are a coward intellectually. You deserve to be intellectually confronted and called out. So let's continue. Mr. GreenBlatt at 33 minutes, 25 seconds. We're almost there, y'all. I'm moving faster. 33 minutes and 25 seconds. He says there's something called teshuva or teshuva. Hopefully I'm saying it correctly, which in their religious belief means repentance and or forgiveness. Yes. Atonement, which we believe. Atonement. We'll give Mr. Farrakhan the teshuva, if I'm saying it right, the repentance and or forgiveness. Give him that. By the way, we don't give a damn if you give it to him or not. Let's make that clear. I don't want anybody to misconstrue my words here as if we want approval. I don't care for their approval. We care for God's approval. When we know we're not wrong, because you need to be the ones asking for forgiveness. Stop with this flipping this script. You should be apologizing and asking for forgiveness, not us. But we do not care. I want to make that clear. I will say this to Mr. GreenBlatt to his face. We do not care. You are acting like a slave master. No. I will shake your hand and say, we don't give a damn. Respectfully. You don't give a damn about apologizing for what your people have done to her, then we don't give a damn about hurting your feelings. You literally killed us and sold us as slaves, but your feelings are more important. Okay, let's continue. 33 minutes and 50 seconds. He says there are some people he would not meet with. 34 minutes and 20 seconds. He mentions Kanye West and Alex Jones. 34 minutes and 45 seconds. He mentions Elon Musk and the rise of hate speech on Twitter. No, what you mean is the speech that you don't like about Jewish people. You're not sticking up for black folks. Just stop it. All right? Just stop it. The N-word was happening more on Twitter than anything dealing with Jewish people the moment Elon Musk took over Twitter, and that is a fact. The moment Elon Musk purchased Twitter and the censorship button was turned off, the N-word started flying. It was like white people's like, yes, yes, nigga, 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 nigga. Oh. drink some water. Nigga. They went crazy. So you can knock that off, all right? Knock that off. The N-word was flipping out of white folks' fingers was made. They went crazy like that's what happened. That is a fact. Now, then were there possibly some Jewish slurs that came out? I don't doubt it. But to the degree of that N-word, you better knock it off, Mr. Greenblatt. Stop it. Oh, this is going to, okay, look. Again, here's some more power that they say that they don't have. Mr. Greenblatt, you actually you admitted to a lot of stuff, all right? So let's do this. 35 minutes and 30 seconds. 2017. Mr. Greenblatt said the ADL opened up an office in Silicon Valley in 2017, and the woman who works for that office is next up to be a Facebook executive who's Jewish, and that they're using social media to look at things and comb, to study and track and trace things, but specifically the office that they opened up in Silicon Valley, which is where a lot of the app locations are, the hubs, that a next top Facebook executive is the Jewish woman who works for the ADL Silicon Valley office, and she's up to be a Facebook executive. What does that mean? Here we go again, another executive over another major thing that you say you don't control. What? So the next up and running executive of Facebook happens to be the Jewish woman that the ADL works with, Mr. Greenblatt. That was at 35 minutes and 30 seconds. 36 minutes and 20 seconds. Elon wants to make the business work. He's talking about Elon Musk when it comes to the advertisers. So Elon Musk is going to do better is what Greenblatt is. It's just funny. It's just funny. It's just funny. Like if I talk like this, the way y'all be talking about us, you would be like, it is so condescending. It is so disrespectful. It is dehumanizing. It is minimizing because it's, again, you just talk with so much of this in your chest. Like, boy, that's why y'all don't meet with us in person. Because the first thing you'll see when we're walking up is the physical difference. You see a 6'6", 240 all muscle pound black man in a suit with no bend in his back and looking straight at you. Automatically, you start feeling a little inadequate. And I'm saying this to a lot of white males that I meet. When you're racist, you start feeling that. You have to kill your racism. Kill your racism. Then intellectually it matches. Then spiritually it's even bigger, etc. Just stop it. Let's continue. 37 minutes and 15 seconds. He said anti-Semitic hate speech has gone up on Twitter. Okay, I'm sure it definitely did. Not in comparison to the N-word and niggas and, the black hatred and the anti-black racism. So knock that off. 37 minutes and 45 seconds. There's a difference between free speech and hate speech, and Charlamagne was bringing it up. The difference between free speech and hate speech, but let's just make this very clear. If it's something that Jewish people don't like that you say, they consider that hate speech. But if it's calling black people nigga, F slavery, my ancestors ain't got to, I ain't got to pay for nothing that my ancestors did. Well, you know how you guys operate. You're lazy, blah, blah, blah. We got to deal with all of that. But say one thing that is true about you and where our whole career is destroyed. Okay, let's continue. 3805, I don't agree with hate speech. It just so happens that most of the facts that I bring out are considered hate speech to the Jewish ADL. That's about it. To black folks, it's considered Tuesday. And it's the facts. But to y'all, it's hatred because we're so jealous of you. Knock it off. Kanye said he jealous. Speaking for itself. But not us. Sorry. Let's continue. 3805. Mr. Greenblatt starts to go into this vetting process, talking to Charlamagne, saying, and I know, y'all, we're almost done. Charlamagne was saying, he was telling Charlamagne, you guys on the Breakfast Club, you constantly vet the people that come on here, You guys do a good job of checking to make sure before you bring people on here, because it's a big platform, that you vet the people that come on here before they come on here. He's indirectly saying, you better make sure that whoever the hell you bring on here after me ain't somebody who we have on our list as a hater. Because if you do, we're going to call you out on it. And we might end up removing you from the Breakfast Club. That double speak ain't so smart. We catch it all. And let me make this very clear. Rizza Islam has not been on the Breakfast Club for a number of reasons. But one of those is because I am being blocked from being on there. There are people who are calling, making sure that I don't get on there. Some are from that side. There are some from other sides too. Let's make this clear. Let's make this clear. I will never beg to be on any platform. However, it just makes me look and analyze that if white platforms are eager to have me on, but some of our own platforms where our own people are running these platforms won't have me on, then it just makes everybody look at you. I'm not tripping. I'm going to do the work. I'm not interested in the fame. I just so happen to be known by the people. Beautiful. I'm honored. However, let's make it clear. I will never beg to be on nobody's platform. But what did disappoint me is that I ended up being on InfoWars with Alex Jones before the Breakfast Club. That was disappointing. I was honored to be on whatever platform I'm invited to. I give respect to whatever platform I'm invited to be able to speak on behalf of the people, tell the people I'm honored. However, that was very telling to me. That was confusing to me. I'm just being honest. And by the way, when I was on InfoWars, when I was interviewed by Alex Jones before Kanye West was interviewed on InfoWars, I was not censored at all. I was able to speak freely to the people, to educate our people for real and educate whoever else is watching the show. It was very confusing to me. And there are a lot of other platforms reaching out. There's a lot of platforms I'm going to be on that I'm still like, but the Breakfast Club? No Jumper, but not the Breakfast Club. Joe Budden, but not the Breakfast Club. 85 South, but not the Breakfast Club. I'm just confused here. So I know there are people blocking me from being on there. That I know. But I will tell you this. When I do get invited to come on, because I'm pretty sure it's going to happen, I'm going to be a very respectful guest. However, I'm going to give tough love because I love y'all. But this is just bad. It's just bad, because there's so much information that the people needed to hear that would have helped them to prevent them from going into certain negative circumstances that harmed a lot of our people, that a lot of you were bringing people on there who gave them one side and not the other. And that's the only reason why I even wanted to be on there. It ain't about fame. But when you bring this enemy's representatives onto your damn show and they lie to our people and our people end up being in a more negative position and condition as a result of it, I cannot stand by and not call you out on it. And I say it out of love. I don't like that. I sincerely don't like that. You had that devil Fauci on there who is now in court for lying. Been on there 2 or 3 times lying to our people. And had nobody from the Black community, it don't gotta be Rizza. Nobody to refute the lies he was putting out? Nobody? That's gonna weigh on your conscience, man. Let me continue. Let me finish this up with Mr. GreenBlatt because let's get this done. Sorry, skip that. Okay, GreenBlatt said right-wing groups are the real problem. Focus on them as right-wing groups. No, it's partially Jewish members in high-level positions in different companies and organizations. The ADL is one of them. JDL is another one of them. Southern Poverty Law Center is another one of them. Absolutely. The JDL was instrumental in helping to extort. In an article that I read, the Jewish Defense League was instrumental in extorting money from Tupac, along with a large list of other people and circumstances. But the JDL pulled some gangster moves negatively on Tupac in an article that I read. Let's continue. 39 minutes and 45 seconds. Mr. Greenblatt said they work with the NAACP. We know because y'all helped to fund them and found them, create them. Color of Change and other organizations, because they're now going to go into inner cities and have young Jewish children meet with young Black children to try to communicate. No. Meet with the Nation of Islam. We're not going to die. I want you to get this through your head. You think, and your intention is to wait for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to physically depart, pass away physically in this plane of things, this realm, to where you feel like you won't have to address anything that you've done. You are sorely mistaken. You will answer for what you have done. You are going to apologize, even though it is religious for you to not apologize, but you will. You're going to, because you're not God. Everyone who has done wrong must apologize and must make it right, period. But we're not going to die. We're not going nowhere. And everywhere where you try to be involved with our people, we will be there. Right there. You indoctrinate, we will unlearn and help them relearn by putting the proper information there so that they can then check you and say, why didn't you tell me that? Why didn't you tell me this? Every person who has relationships who is Black with the Jewish community needs to have these books. You all do. Everybody does. Because they make it very clear what they do. They like, you better read this. You're going to come here. You're going to study this. You're going to do this. Go to our museum. Go to good. And you do the same. All right, let's continue. An apology is not good enough. There's a whole lot more work that needs to be done. 40 minutes and 20 seconds. Let me just finish this. Let me hurry up. How do we help Black people? The ADL. Okay. Charlemagne at 40 minutes and 20 seconds was asking Johnathan GreenBlatt, how is it that you can help Black people? I'm going to say this on behalf of our people and our generation in particular. We're not interested in having the ADL defend us. All we want is for them to leave us the hell alone. That's all we want. Just leave us alone. Like we leave y'all alone. Leave us the hell alone. We do want to address what you've done to our people, though. So that's not what I mean. Let's not get around that. We want you to leave us alone. Let us live our lives righteously and doing business and loving our families and growing and being treated as human beings. That's all. Leave us that. Get you some business. All right. Let me take it back home to the culture. Right. We hood with this. Righteous, but hood with this. Get you some business. Stay out of Black folks' business. And one of your rebuttals is going to be, well, we're paying those Black folks. No, you're paying them for their talent. And if you're going to treat them like a slave, let them know that so that they can have a decision to make so that they can stop dealing with you. But the agreement was, I have this talent. You're paying me for my talent. Treat them like a damn human being. Other than that, leave us alone. Now, let's continue. 40 minutes, 20 seconds. 40 minutes and 46 seconds. September ADL. Here's another updated coalition or group that the ADL has established with some Black people, not the leadership in the Black community, not the trusted fully Black groups. At 40 minutes and 20 seconds, Mr. Greenblatt said, 40 minutes and 46 seconds. He said in September of this year, September, just 3 months ago, the ADL and the Urban League launched the Solidarity and Safety Coalition. What? Urban League? Shout out to the good works that the Urban League has been doing. However, what? This is another form of infiltration. Symbol without substance. Micromanagement. Hey, I'm here to help you. I'm just making sure you're all right. No, you're making sure I don't outgrow you and become more efficient and successful and intelligent than you, and I don't do what I need to do for my people outside of the realm of your control, that like you've always done. You did it with the Panthers, you did it with the creation of the NAACP. You had spies on different college campuses way back then. You helped to bring down Marcus Garvey and the UNIA. What? Okay. Keep jumping around. No, come together with the Nation of Islam. But you know, you got to go through this big door before you get in here, and it's not you're not gonna come in. We can find some agreements, but you gotta come to the table humbly and have a discussion. Anybody who is Jewish watching me speak right now, you feel that if you feel that I'm a hater, or if you feel that I'm anti-Semitic, you feel that I hate Jews and that I want to kill people. First of all, get over yourselves. That's number one. Number two, you're not that important. The real important thing is my people. So I'm not thinking of doing you any harm. Get out of your feelings. Get out of your feelings. Number three, go to RizzaIslam.com. And I mean this in the most respectful way. The energy you're feeling is the frustration that we have with your group attacking our people, killing our people. You can understand that, right? Or is the life of a Black person not really worth that much in comparison to the life of a Jew? Like what Goldstein said, I believe. 1,000, I think he said 1,000 Arab lives are not worth the fingernail of a single Jew. Some of you are very sick. But I will say, go to RizzaIslam.com, click booking, and send an email to my team for us to have a sit down and discussion. And you will not be getting all of this energy. I'm very respectful, very, believe it or not. Regardless to what the ADL report on me told you, I'm very respectful. But I don't call people names and do all of that and not be willing to sit down and talk to them. I'm willing to sit down and talk to Mr. GreenBlatt. I am. Preferably, you need to go meet with Minister Farrakhan. That's what y'all need to go do. You need to go meet with the minister. I'm just saying, if he wants me to handle his lightweight, like we say in the hood, handle my lightweight, I have no, yes, sir. Tag me in. Yes, sir. Mr. GreenBlatt, how are you, sir? And we'll have a discussion. Just saying. But there's an order of things here. I'm just saying. All right. I have no problem. I'm never, I don't criticize and speak about a person that I'm unwilling to meet and talk to. Anybody who I speak of, I'm willing to sit down and talk to them in person. It just so happens that most people that talk about me never want to meet me in person, but they will talk about me all day long on the internet, but they never meet up with me. And I'm like, meet up with me. No, I'm not going to do it. Okay, then stop talking. I mean, like, seriously, shut up, stop talking. It's just, we're in the real world. Come on, we got time. Let's talk. Be a real human being. Let's continue. Move fast. Okay, we're almost done. Yeah, we got. What is Judaism? Okay, no. Let's see. Talked about the Hebrew Israelites killing 3 people in December of some years back. Again, wrong. Definitely wrong. Let's make that clear. That's wrong. However, also in Israel, your Israeli soldiers are killing people because they feel that they're the chosen people of God. And so their radical views of Judaism cause them to kill people. And they do it on a consistent basis. Again, the hypocrisy, the doublespeak, stop it. All right. Again, and I'm saying wrong if it's unjustified. Now, if it's in self-defense, that's different. But if you're just going and shooting somebody or attacking somebody because of their belief, that's wrong. Period. I don't give a damn if they're white. If you're just going to attack them because they're white, you can say it's for their ancestors. Okay. Sounds funny. But no, it's not right. Just to be honest with you, not right. Let's continue. I just don't like the hypocrisy, Mr. GreenBlatt. Continue. Let's continue. At 43 minutes and 48 seconds, Mr. GreenBlatt admits that Jewish people did or were part of the founding of Hollywood. Okay, so We have to create this thing, but we don't run it. Okay, all right. Let's continue. 44 minutes and 15 seconds. Jewish people couldn't get jobs. So they went to the West and created Hollywood because we couldn't get jobs here. We couldn't get jobs there. We couldn't get. Have you ever wondered? Let me open up book one. I'm going to point out something to all of you. Have you ever asked yourself, if you know anything about this history, why Jewish people have been expelled, why they were kicked out of parts of Europe? Have you ever wondered this? Have any of you ever known the history of the Jewish people being kicked out of other nations? Have any of you ever known any of this? Let me go ahead and say this really quick. Somebody said because they were terrible. Somebody said yes. Somebody said money. Somebody said the control they wanted over the money and the church. These are facts. By the way, they will say, oh my God, that's anti-Semitic tropes, anti-Semitic stereotypes. You know what? Let's go to the book. Let us go to this really quick here. Here are the reasons, and I'm going to go over at least 10 European nations and the years they were kicked out. Jewish white people being kicked out of other white nations, taking over white nations, originally melanated at the very beginning, but for now, European nations, Jewish people getting kicked out of European nations over and over and over again, long before they got to America. Let's see why. It says here on page 10, in The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, book 1, compiled by the Nation of Islam. But all of these references, all of what I'm reading is coming from Jewish writers, Jewish scholars, Jewish rabbis, Jewish historians. Let me just say that again. It says here on page 10, the expulsion or the removal or kicking out of Jews by European governments was not unusual, with most of the complaints centered around three things: economic exploitation, meaning using money to attack people, like you did with Kanye, like you threatened with Kyrie and did with Kyrie because he didn't take the shot, like you did with so many people. You economically destroyed their whole career because you didn't like what they said and you called them anti-Semitic. Economic exploitation, okay. Monopolizing, meaning when you take over and have a high level in a particular field or arena. Hollywood, let's say, I don't know, the news or the media. Okay, fine, not that. What about banking? When you have too many people of your particular group who have high level of influence in a particular field. We know banking. We know in media. Johnathan GreenBlatt, you admitted, the Jews not only helped to create Hollywood, but there are high level executives, many of them who are Jewish in Hollywood. That's called monopolization. Fine. Or here's a third reason: sharp practice. Remember when we mentioned the Babylonian Talmud, that in their law, that it is permissible, it is okay, it is allowed to do certain things to a person if they're not Jewish. Sharp practice is when you bend, not illegally, but immorally, unethically, where you are straddling the fence, where you are, how should I say, using loopholes to do things that you know are wrong, but that are not technically illegal. That's called sharp practice. What did Kanye say? Contracts. Show us your contracts. Show the contracts. Y'all need to read the contracts and what they have done to our people with contracts, through contracts, through contracts. Sharp practices. Corruption and how you manipulate laws, which is why so many of our Black artists have died broke because of their Jewish managers, their Jewish, the people who have their Jewish accountants, because of what happens in their very wise use of contracts, sharp practice. Okay. So this is what they were saying as it pertains to European nations kicking them out. This ain't got nothing to do with Black folk. This has nothing to do with us. This is white people pushing out other white people who are calling themselves Jewish people. Fine. All right, cool. By 1500, with the exception of certain parts of Italy, Western Europe had closed its doors to Jewish people. Where did that reference come from, Rizza? Yosef Hayim Yerushalmi, quote, between Amsterdam and New Amsterdam, the place of Curacao and the Caribbean in early modern Jewish history, PA8J, I believe it's the Jewish Encyclopedia, volume 72, 1982 through 1983, page 173. Lee Ann Durham Cimarino says, in the history of the blacks, the Jews, and the Moors in Spain, Madrid, 1975, page 40 through 42. That's the reference. That's a Jewish writer who wrote that. Just want to do that. But let's move to a critical part. The following listing is a partial record of the countries and dates of the Jews' expulsion or being kicked out from various European communities. They were kicked out of Mainz in 1012, kicked out of France in 1182, kicked out of Upper Bavaria in 1276, kicked out of England in 1290, kicked out of France in 1306, kicked out of France again in 1322, kicked out of Saxony in 1349, kicked out of Hungary in 1360, out of Belgium in 1370, out of Slovakia in 1380, out of France again in 1394, out of Austria in 1420, out of Lyons in 1420, out of Cologne in 1424, out of Mainz in 1438, out of Augsburg in 1439, out of Upper Bavaria in 1442, the Netherlands in 1444, Brandenburg in 1446, Mainz again in 1462, Mainz again in 1438, Warsaw in 1483, out of Spain in 1492. And before I finish the list, let me go over to what happened on August the 2nd, 1492. More than 300,000 Jews were expelled from Spain, ending their 5-century involvement in the black hostage trade in that region. Many of the areas in Europe that they were kicked out of were for the reasons that they continued to maintain and hold slaves in captivity when those European nations were pushing against it in certain areas and times. Again, let's continue. Kick out of Italy again in 1492, out of Lithuania, 1495, out of Portugal, 1496, out of Naples, 1496, out of Navarre in 1498, Nuremberg in 1498, Brandenburg in 1510, out of Prussia in 1510, out of Genoa, 1515, out of Naples again in 1533, out of Italy again in 1540, out of Naples again, 1541, Prague in 1541, Genoa again in 1550, out of Bavaria in 1551, out of Prague in 1557, out of the Papal States in 1569, Hungary 1582, Hamburg 1649, Vienna 1669, Slovakia again 1744, Bohemia, Moravia 1744, and out of Moscow in 1891. Jewish people have been kicked out of all of these European nations from the tens, from 1012, all throughout the centuries. And you have something to say about Black people because we hurt your feelings, because we call out your racism against us when you've been kicked out of European countries for hundreds of years, because of certain things that you've done, and then in other aspects, negative things have happened to you too. When it came to, of course, for example, the Spanish Inquisition, as it pertains to trying to force you to convert to being Catholics and, of course, Christian and all of that kind of stuff. We understand. We understand. However, you cannot say you don't do anything wrong when you're doing things wrong, because a lot of the same things you're doing today over here against us and our people is the same thing that you have been doing to people for a very long time. In the last 15 minutes, let's knock this thing out. Okay, went through that. 4455. Jews in the media. Jews are executives, but they don't run the media. They have success, but they don't run anything. There is no Jewish cabal. There is no group of Jewish people who come together to control anything in America. That doesn't exist, is what he said. It's a conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy theory. Mr. Greenblatt, you have to prove how it's a conspiracy theory, because the only thing that happens is all of your actions prove that it's a fact. That's what it looks like. It's an apparency. That's what happens. If I went outside and all the cats I see outside are green, you can't tell me, well, you do know there's not only green cats out here. And then I'm looking around like the only cats I'm seeing are green. That's all I'm seeing. All we're seeing is all of these negative things you keep doing to our people. That's all we see. And to other people too. Let's see here. And how you control things. It's just what it looks like. 46 minutes proving Kanye's points. GreenBlatt said, well, what Kanye said when it comes to him being controlled and everything being destroyed, if we bring up what we don't like, it makes it look like he's right. So damned if you do, damned if you don't. No, it's called gaslighting. It's called calling you out. It's called exposing the fact that the same playbook is the same playbook. It's what you've always done. That's why it's kind of like we know what you do. And he went down a list of all the things you do because it's what you've done to other people for so long. It's what you do. It's what happens. Stop doing it. It's just that simple. Let's see. Racism against Black people from Jewish people. How do you deal with that with the ADL? He said a bunch of nothing at that because that's not what they do. They don't call out their Jewish brothers publicly. I don't know if y'all noticed that. I've never seen that happen with the exception of maybe one or two specific times. And that was like with Jon Stewart because he stands up for Palestine. That'll get you called out a little bit, right? They haven't called out Sarah Silverman, to my knowledge, not entirely. Her shows are still going. She still looks like she's doing pretty good. Sarah Silverman, the Jewish woman who did a whole video using the N-word. She did a whole skit with her in blackface, talking about she's a Black woman and all kinds of horrific things, doing what she was doing that was beyond disrespectful. And she's Jewish. Y'all don't call it out. Again, it just happens. It's just, again, we know this. Let's continue. 470. The Jewish-Black tensions over in Crown Heights, New York. Y'all never talk about what you do with those dirty practices of the landlords, the usury that you do, the overwhelming abuse when it comes to your racism, when it comes to how you treat Black folks in Crown Heights, New York, over in Brooklyn, or anywhere where you happen to be the landlords or the people who own the buildings or whatever. Let's continue. Last 10 minutes. We're out of here. 49-20, Jews have more in common with Blacks than differences. We can definitely find the commonalities, but that has to come after we look at what you've done to our people first. See, you're not going to get around this. See, stop it. Stop it. It's a false sense of humanity that you're offering, a false sense of brotherhood and sisterhood because you don't want to address what has been done to our people. It's not okay. It's not okay. There is no real Black-Jewish relations that can happen until you address what your people have done to ours. If you try to get around that, then your love is false. You don't care about a real relationship. It's false. Knock it off. Let's continue. 49-35, Blacks suffer differently in America. The Jewish people, yes, we've suffered a hell of a lot differently. Like we're still suffering. Again, minimizing it, didn't really address it. 50 minutes, 15 seconds. Let's move forward together. Don't look at the past. Just move forward together. Let's move. No, look at the past because it's why we're in the condition in the present. Let's continue to move forward here. He was asked about the Jews that support Donald Trump and how do they deal with that? Blah, blah, blah. He was like, I don't understand how they can support Donald Trump. Okay, anyway, he didn't go in on them like he goes in on Black folks. Again, just demonstrating the racism. 52 minutes, my job is to speak truth to power, Mr. GreenBlatt said. His job is to speak truth to power. God, what power are you speaking to, Mr. GreenBlatt? Your right hand? What power are you talking to? What power are you addressing over the ADL? What are you talking about? My job is to speak truth to power, Mr. GreenBlatt says. I didn't know this. Johnathan GreenBlatt worked for Obama in the White House for 3.5 years in the West Wing. I did not know that. He, let's see, fight hate of Jewish people, anti-Semitism, and hatred of all others. That's the main purpose. It's hard to fight my own biases. He says, yes, we know. You're Jewish. You should stand up for your people first. We know. 54-15. We're 5 minutes left, y'all. We done. 54-15. Can the ADL speak for the whole community? He said, I don't think we can, blah, blah. But you operate like you do, a gangster group. 54-55. GreenBlatt is not the authority. I'm not the authority. But I try to do what I can because it hurts. And he was going into this and then he started crying. Let me tell you something about those tears, Mr. GreenBlatt. When you're crying tears for your people, we understand. But the trying to do that, which again, we are so used to white people crying as a tactic to gain our allegiance and our acceptance and our trust. We can't trust you. We can't trust you. That's all. So if you're crying for your people, then we respect, all respect. We get that. However, the tears trying to use that as a way to come together and find some, no, sir. No, sir. Let's continue. When he started crying, I was like, knock it off. And I mean that. Don't do that. Don't do that. No. You cried no tears for what your people have done to ours. As a matter of fact, not only no tears, you don't even bring it up. So we have to stop. We have to like really have a real conversation. Real conversation. Almost done here. The question was asked, could another Holocaust happen? Mr. Charlemagne asked this. This is one thing that I really dislike. Because a lot of them talk in a way where they're trying to say, when communication like this and talk like this happens, we know what's around the corner. If you don't stop with that sick, disrespectful thing that y'all do, GreenBlatt and the ADL. Hitler was white. He killed black people and other white people and cripples and gypsies and a lot of people. There is no, from the black community, let's just say this, from our people, there's no Hitler over with our people. This is not about to be oh, you're all going to go into, and he said this, he said, I don't think there's going to be another systemic circumstance like that. I was so proud of you, Mr. GreenBlatt, for looking at reality. He said, I don't think there's going to be another circumstance like that where, we're genocidally removed and killed by a dictator. I don't think that's going to happen. He said, but when we're being beaten and punched and the synagogues being shot at, and okay, we with you, we understand, but just make it very clear. Stop using the term Holocaust and what happened in Nazi Germany as a way to make black people feel bad when you were a part of our Holocaust and we were not a part of yours. It's insulting. It's insulting. Stop that. We lost so many more people, but we are always willing to understand the pain of everybody else. We're always respectful of everyone else's pain. We are always respectful of everyone else's pain. Always respectful of everyone else's pain, but everyone else is not respectful of ours. That's the problem. You literally were involved in our enslavement, transportation, rape, robbery, cutting off our hands, cutting off our penis, our heads, ripping us apart, everything you can imagine. The Jewish community, many members were a part of it. You were a part of it, but we were not a part of anything that happened in no damn Nazi Germany with Adolf Hitler. We were not a part of the Tiergarten 4 project or T4. We're not a part of Auschwitz. We did not drive those trains. We did not operate the gas chambers. We did not help the people to get in line. Hey, we did none of that. We were victims of it too. So stop bringing up the Holocaust. Because if we can't bring up slavery, you can't bring up the Holocaust in Nazi Germany. Can we be fair with that? If we don't throw slavery in your face every 5 minutes, because we absolutely have the right to, because you were involved in ours. You were involved in ours. So we should bring it up as often as we should. But because we're literally not like that, we're so tenderhearted that all we want is just to be left alone so that we can do better for ourselves. But if you bring up the Holocaust and Adolf Hitler, we bringing up Leopold of Belgium. We're bringing up General Amherst. We're bringing up all the presidents of the United States, going all the way back to George Washington. We're bringing up everything that you've done. President Truman, when it comes to Hiroshima and Nagasaki. We're bringing up everything that happened under Reagan. We're bringing up everything that happened under Nixon. We're bringing up everything that happened under all of the presidents. If you want to go there, then we're going to go there. But if you don't, then don't. If we can't say nothing about slavery, don't bring up Hitler. We lost hundreds of millions. So stop it. Okay? Let's just be fair here. Last 3 minutes here. Should Jewish people leave? He starts asking this question, right? Remember, I brought up all the different times they were kicked out of Europe. He brought up, should Jewish people leave? Why are you saying that? You were kicked out of multiple European nations. If y'all want to take us, I know the letters are backwards. Dang. Well, give the book. You were kicked out of multiple European nations for what you've done. So if you feel like you need to leave, that's up to you. But he brought that up at 58 minutes. At 59 minutes, we're almost done. It only goes up to an hour and 3 minutes. At 59 minutes, he said, I don't think the Holocaust will happen again in detail the way it did. At an hour, he said, fear of Jews being attacked in every form is on the rise. From 2016 to now, Black people have consistently been getting our asses whooped. Rape is up. Robbery is up. Killing of us by us is up. Police murdering us. You name it. It's been happening. So we hear you, but we understand. Like we've been on this ride. Okay, let's continue. 101, what's the best possible outcome for the situation? GreenBlatt, this is the last part. This is where Charlemagne and GreenBlatt ended the conversation. This is where they ended the interview. And I know some of y'all are about to go to sleep. Thankfully, hopefully, you get a little bit of sleep before work. This is where they ended the interview. Some of y'all, it's 4:52 in New York. I know. The interview ended this way. Charlemagne asked him, what's the possible outcome, the best possible outcome of this situation? GreenBlatt answers in a way where he thinks he's portraying Martin Luther King. No, sir. Because again, it's disingenuous. But let's see. This is what he says. He wants to live in a world where his grandchildren and our grandchildren to see one another as family, not just as allies, and to be free to pray where we want and to go to school where we want without fear. Let not our enemies tear us apart. Let's come together. Mr. GreenBlatt, you, the ADL, has been one of the greatest weaponized organizations against the rise of Black people. In targeting our leadership, spying on our leadership, raiding and helping to get our leadership arrested, helping to get our leadership kicked out of the United States, Garvey and others. There will be no true relationship between the Jewish community as a whole and the Black community as a whole until things are made right. That's it. But we can't do this superficial, fake type of relationship. And guess what? None of these people that you all have met with are any authority, trusted authority in the Black community that can be co-signed, rubber stamped, and say, all right, Mr. GreenBlatt has trusted everybody. He got a pass in every hood. You know what I'm saying? He's good over here. No, you're not. Not until the real conversation happens and then the actual work takes place. The work of you doing what needs to be done to pay back all that you owe and to make right what you have made wrong. So Charlemagne said, from now on, let's show up for each other. Jewish people should show up for Black folks, and we as Black folks should show up for Jewish people. Charlemagne, Black people have always showed up for Jewish people. And in many aspects, Jewish people have gotten involved in certain things and have helped to make certain connections in fashion and movies and film, but it was always with Jewish people at the top. It was never an equal playing ground, and that's where we have to be honest about it. We have to be honest. This is where I have to, this is where when it comes to our brother Russell Simmons, who I love, it's my brother. When it comes to a lot of our elders in those arenas who have been the ones who have made these agreements, established certain things, that's where I have to beg to differ slightly, where the raw truth is the raw truth. You can't enslave my people and then I have to say, well, you know what? That's all right. You helped me to launch my clothing brand later on, though. And that's not a shot at Russell Simmons. I love my brother. I'm saying we cannot oversimplify and think that some clothes is reparations for what they've done to our people. Stop it. Stop it. Or a movie, or helping us when it comes to purchasing a duplex, or No, because Jewish people will never forgive the Nazis for what they've done to Jewish people, but some of our people want us to forgive them for what they have done to ours. I think it would be good if we had a real conversation. So that's my response to the Breakfast Club's interview in detail, point by point, timestamp by timestamp. I pray I was able to bring some clarity, some actual facts to these things. An honorable mention book that I feel everyone should have is a book by Gary Allen and Larry Abraham called None Dare Call It Conspiracy. Critical book. Another book that you should read that is in my collection. You should definitely get that. Also, if you do not have Message to the Millennials, you should go ahead and cop that at RizzaIslam.com ASAP. Also, go to joinfreethinkers.com if you would like to be a part of our closed private group where we will be having our first meeting, I think in about a week, roughly, maybe a week and a half, private. And there's a lot of work that's being done. Also, go to RizzaIslam.com. Make sure you subscribe. Go to my YouTube here. Subscribe here. Go to Rumble. Rizza Islam on Rumble. Make sure you subscribe there. Also, make sure you get your hoodies, your shirts, and different things like that. Natural Immunity Wins. Make sure you get that at RizzaIslam.com. I pray I was able to give y'all something to chew on, something mentally to chew on, and I pray I didn't come off hateful. Again, no hate. I don't want anybody to be harmed, but I definitely want your ignorance to perish in a fiery blaze, if you don't mind. That I'm cool with. May Allah bless each and every one of y'all. Have a good night/morning. Please get some rest if you can. If you're at work, you're almost done, wake up, shake it off. Do not let the manager or the supervisor come in and you lose your job and blame it on Rizza Islam. Don't you do that. Finish strong, y'all. Have a good night. Peace. Assalamu alaikum. We out of here, baby.